All right, welcome to our midweek edition of Two Guys and a Mic. One of your hosts, Big Sean.
And I'm RP. Welcome everybody. It's our midweek show. It's kind of a weird week for the first time since probably about what? It's been about 4 or 5 months.
Yeah,
Close
since
to.
September.
We don't have a Browns game to talk about. It's a little weird. It's a little empty. It's a little emotionless. I think I spent most of my emotion on Sunday. But here we are. We still got a little bit of Browns to talk about. And of course, because the Browns and the NFL do such a good job of staying in the way over the course of the year, we'll be talking Browns, still throughout the course of before the season starts and stuff
Right.
like that.
Because you have the free agent signing period. You had a combine coming up.
Right.
That's next month.
Right.
You have that free agent signings. You have all different.
We're a month and a half away from the draft, or so.
Right.
No, it's late. It's late in April, so we're about 2 months away. But that's no time at all, really, because February only got 2 weeks in it.
Right. That's what it feels like.
So,
but yeah, so we'll still have some things to talk about. Football, the NFL kind of doesn't stop necessarily, so we have other NFL news to discuss. But today, I think what we want to do is kind of give a brief review of the season, and kind of give our overall grade of the team for the 2020 season, and kind of what the Browns need to do going forward in this offseason to improve the team. So I'll let RP go ahead and lead off with that, and we'll take it from there.
Well, as we know, it's been well spoken about. The Browns this season had one of the best seasons we've seen here, damn near ever. The best season I think the Browns ever had. We were 12-4, at least in terms of our lifetime. And that was back in 86, 87-ish.
Yep, 86.
And so now, we finished a game behind that. Yeah, for sure, we left a lot of stuff on the table, some things we can improve on. We knew that. But that's kind of scary, too, when you think about it, because we do have some things that we can improve on. And if we actually improve on those things, it's like, yikes, how good could this team potentially be? Whether it's the talent, whether it's regardless of whether I like the play caller or not, if the coach thinks that this play calling is what's going to get us there, is it the play calling? We don't really know until we get those pieces and those parts that can shore up some of those holes, that can fix some of the things that we know for sure are issues. And if we get those things, man, this team can be. I think they're going to be a little scary coming into next year. I listen, whatever that. Huh?
I think so too, because I think their confidence is going to be sky high. Yeah. And that starts with the quarterback. I think Baker is not at a place now where you can see it those last few games of the season where he's comfortable with who he is. I think Baker, coming out of college, he's a little bit immature. Great leader, because you always hear from his teammates that, he was a great leader, great player as well, but he has some maturity. He took everything personally, had to respond to every, slight. And sometimes I think that would take him.
That all the time, but sometimes you gotta let some. You gotta let.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta know. Sometimes the best way to respond is not to respond, because when you feed into it, sometimes people are trolling you. They just want the reaction out of you, and they kind of get you a little bit distracted, and it affects your teammates too, because now the teammates got to answer for what you've been saying and what you've been doing. So you know what I'm saying. So, but I think he let a lot of that go, but he still, you can still see him taking, his shots at times, but he did it kind of subtly and didn't kind of let it, consume him during this season. And I think that's definitely, some growth on his part. But now I think he's comfortable in who he is as a quarterback. So
It's also a plus side, and not to cut you off.
Oh, you good.
But it's also a plus side when you're winning. So those times where you might have been a little more emotional or a little more rubbed raw because we're on a 4-game losing streak and I threw 2 picks today and no touchdowns. You know what I mean? I was only my completion rate was only 58%. And this is my 4th game where I didn't get above what people think is, acceptable. Yeah, I'm probably going to be a little bit pissed off too, or at least a little bit chippy, or maybe a little bit short. And you're asking me the same, and we talked about this too. You're asking me the same 13 questions for the 37th week in a row. I'm sick of it. So you can be or might end up being a little bit short in those situations, understandably, if you ask me. But winning kind of makes you look at these things and say to yourself, oh, no, I'm good, man, because we won. So I'm in a different atmosphere. I'm in a different demeanor. I'm not salty right now. And yeah, you asked me that same junk. Now I can kind of giggle about it and maybe make fun about it rather than being pissed off. So winning definitely changes not just the attitudes of guys. It does change the culture in the building. I think about this, Sean. 2 years ago, going into the season 2 years ago, we had a lot of hoopla just based on what we had on paper. These guys felt a lot like what they probably feel this year going into next season.
Right.
But here's the difference. Here's the big difference. They actually did something with the shit this time. This ain't just, oh, we just picked up OBJ. Oh, we just picked up this person. Oh, I can't wait to play.
Without proving themselves. Like looking good on paper, but you haven't proved yourself.
Right.
Now you've actually proven that you are a good football team.
Right. So
all the hype going into next year will be warranted.
Right. And you've had a taste of it. Like you didn't just play good this season in terms of winning, in terms of improving your quarterback play, your coach, your internal stuff from top to bottom. It's a lot of stuff that we saw that was just completely and totally different when it came to the Browns. You actually didn't just change a few things here and there. You beat teams that you normally, to be honest, Sean, a normal team, if this had been a team with, I'm not going to call an actual coach, not one specific coach. I was going to do that, but I'm not going to do that. If we had another coach, if we had another system, we would have the same schedule with the same team. We probably wouldn't have been 8-8. Might have been 7-9. But we actually beat teams that we should have beat this year. Like teams that you looked at the paper and said, no, we should beat them. We should beat Washington. We should beat the Giants. And we actually went in there and did those things.
Right.
Like that in itself is an accomplishment for the Browns. It shouldn't be, but it is.
Because you have to take those steps. I mean, it's a progression. Also, everybody was talking about how easy our schedule was this year, but I think we ended up beating 5 playoff teams.
We beat,
if you count not the Redskins, but the Washington football team.
Yep.
You beat the Steelers. Who else was a playoff team? We beat the Indianapolis Colts.
We beat the Colts. We beat the Titans too.
Yeah, beat the Titans. So that's 4. Now, most teams don't have 4 playoff teams on their resume because it's just the way that it works out. So, that's a huge step because remember, coming into the season, remember early in the season when we were winning some games, they were like, yeah, you guys will beat up on Cincinnati. You beat so and so, but you hadn't beaten the playoff team yet. You haven't beaten this team. You haven't beaten that team. So we saw this team gradually take steps. Even when they had a setback, maybe had a loss, you always saw them come back next week and, a little bit better, learning from their mistakes, man. And that's kind of all really that I was looking for this season. I said I wanted to see progression. I wanted to get into the playoffs. I didn't expect Super Bowl. Of course, once you get in the playoffs, you have certain expectations for your team. But I was like, let's get into the playoffs. Let's get that experience so we're ready to take that next step. Because now everything that was thrown at the Browns this season, man, as far as with COVID, losing 3 offensive linemen in one game, losing your best receiver, losing your coach in the playoffs, the adversity that the Browns have gone through this year should, and I emphasize should because you never know, help them with their confidence a lot because there's really nothing else you can throw at them now.
You will hope so.
Going into the season. You would hope so. Right.
I think first off, I agree with that. And I think that the Browns would be remiss to come into this season, this next season, without taking into consideration some of the things that they went through last year. Like, I don't think, and in so many ways, like, I think, some of the stuff that they went through, you can't forget about. Like, even if you try to forget about it, if I'm the coach, I'm always bringing that stuff up, and that's what I'm saying. Like, that's my actual point. If I'm the coach, or I don't care if I'm the head coach, I don't care if I'm the defensive coordinator, I don't care if I'm the cornerbacks coach. If I'm on that coaching staff, if I'm in that front office, I'm reminding everybody, anybody around me, anybody underneath me, hey, let's not forget, we did boom, 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 and boom, boom, boom this year. Jedrick went out. That's okay. We still finished that game, and we won that game, or almost won that game. Teller went out, and we still almost won that game, or won that game, or won 2 games while you were, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, those are things that you should.
And think about it this way, too. When you go into the offseason now you can start drafting for depth in certain positions.
Listen,
now,
that is probably, honestly, I know we went 11-5. I know we were a better team. I know all of the things that we're going to end up saying in this show or over the course of the season, regardless of all of my blow-ups over the season. I can't take that part away. The thing I'm the most happy about is what you just said right now. The thing that you just brought up right now, I'm the most happy about. We can go into the damn draft. Do you know how different it feels to go into the draft or even into the offseason and not be like, man, we need another coach, or, oh man, we need another quarterback.
Right.
To have trust and belief in what you already have, that's a part of the team. And then be able to say, when the draft comes or when free agency comes, or we get the opportunity to trade for somebody somewhere, we're really only missing, say, 5 or 6 things instead of 20 things.
Exactly.
That to me is the most gratifying as a Browns fan. Like, I feel like we're building instead of rebuilding. And that's a total difference.
Yeah, and they've been setting this up for a while, man. Like, people dog Sashi Brown a lot, thinking he was horrible. He wasn't really a horrible GM. He did what they asked him to do. They asked him.
He did his
job.
He
just became a victim of circumstance. When somebody had to take the fall, he took the fall. For that once Jimmy Haslam started being Jimmy Haslam and panicking. But he did what they asked him to do. So him and John Dorsey, man, really set the foundation for what we see today. And then Andrew Berry is just now kind of adding on to that and kind of molding him as Stefanski, molding the team personality-wise until they want them to be. So I know people was kind of hard on Sashi, kind of hard on Dorsey. Dorsey's really only fault was that he hired Freddie Kitchens. That's a huge mistake. And the fact that he wanted to bring Kitchens back for a second year.
Okay. Well, you just said it. I was about to ask you a question, but you just said it. I was going to say, do you think that Dorsey would still be here if he didn't want to bring Freddie back?
Yeah, definitely. Because Dorsey didn't do a bad, people, they nitpick at some of his picks, but a lot of what we see today is due to John Dorsey.
We got a lot of talent because of John Dorsey. We got a lot of talent because of John Dorsey. John Dorsey actually brought talent, like guys that could actually still play football. And it didn't reveal itself in certain cases, like with Olivier. I would probably say we didn't see Olivier really play no damn football till
this year,
maybe like the week 3 or 4. All of a sudden, he just started coming on. You know what I mean? Especially after Miles went down with the COVID or whatnot, you started to see him, really put himself into play as a defensive end. What we thought we would have had out of him and what we wanted to see out of him, we started to see out of him. So he wouldn't have been here. Sheldon Richardson wouldn't have been here. Sheldon Richardson had a really good season this year, actually.
Right. Baker Mayfield wouldn't be here.
Baker wouldn't be here. Baker had a really good season this year.
Chubb was a Dorsey pick.
Listen, can I say that? I'm sure I've said this on the show before. I'm gonna say this again. I said when we drafted Nick Chubb that we got the wrong Chubb. I wanted Bradley. I wanted Brad because I always felt like to have bookends, rushing guys, and they're young rushing.
Right, and a lot of it was too. Remember, because we got Mayfield 1, Denzel Ward 4. Now a lot of people wanted Bradley Chubb at that.
That's what I wanted Brad at.
I wanted Brad
there.
Yeah,
I thought that would have solidified us up front for for 4 years at least, depending on how long you could pay these guys, and if they're any good, and if they're close to elite, you're gonna have to pay them.
Right, and Bradley Chubb has been decent. He can't stay healthy.
He just can't stay healthy. That's it.
He's been hurt.
If he could stay healthy, I mean, but this is a kid that had 12.5 sacks as a rookie. He was also playing on the opposite side of Von Miller. So that also helps. But that's in my mind.
Didn't we almost have Von Miller? Wasn't there a trade or something almost in place to bring him here?
We were close. We were close. I want to say we were close more than once, but I do remember
this name kept popping up in trade.
Yeah, I do remember his name coming up, but we didn't have enough here. Like it would have been a waste for us. Kind of like what you tell me about having Lamar Jackson here with what's it called? With Hugh.
Yeah,
it just would have been a waste. I mean, it doesn't mean that they wouldn't have played okay. It just wouldn't have played out the right way. It would have been a waste of money. And that's where I'm at now. Like as we continue to move forward, before we get into these actual grades, and then we're going to talk about some of the potential free agencies and trades or whatever. But I don't want to see the team handcuff themselves with a lot of big contracts and free agency signings, or getting enamored with a big name, even though this guy might not be a big time player anymore. And we'll go into some of those names. I want them to, because we've had a great cap situation for the last 6 or 7 years. We've had a great cap situation, and the Browns have done a really good job of managing that cap, and they're paying the guys that they need to pay. That's something else we're going to get into, because that question came up this week too. But how about this? How about we get into our grades, or start to talk about our grades for each situation, each position. So first, let's go into the head coach. I'll let you start. We'll start with the head coach.
I'm going to give Stefanski, and maybe it's a little bit lofty, but I'm gonna give him an A. And I'm gonna give him an A just for the simple fact, you got a new team, you're a new head coach, first of all, coming into a situation when you don't have an offseason program to implement your playbook or anything like that, and you get the team to the playoffs and get a playoff victory. So just on the strength of that, man, that's not easy. Change the culture. It seems like he's changed the culture, got us in the right direction. He never changes his demeanor, stays even keeled. Same guy you saw at the beginning of the season, you saw at the end of the season. So with that, I'm gonna give Kevin Stefanski an A.
Okay. I gave him a B, a solid B. I agree. I think Cleveland alone, just being in Cleveland by itself, not even getting to the playoffs, not even, if you take all that out of the equation, just being a damn coach in Cleveland is tough. We're hard fans, we're passionate fans. The culture is you go through this weird series of the culture doesn't even exist type of thing, but it's culture there because of what we used to do and what we used to be. You know what I mean? So it's hard to come in and it's hard to create a culture. It's hard to maybe even inspire players to want to play because they've been here for a little bit and they ain't seen no winning, or they've heard all of I'm on my fourth coach. Every coach come in here with this skip to my loose kumbaya speech every year. You know, but to get guys ready to play, to get them concerned to play week after week. And again, winning does help that. But we started out the season with that loss to 30, I think it was 38-6 to the
like that. Yeah.
To the Ravens. That could have easily turned south. Like the whole season from that point forward could have been completely and totally south. It did not, though. We went on to win, I think, 4 straight after that.
Yeah, something like that.
So that stuff, and let me clear some stuff up, because in my frustration and in my passion of what happened on Sunday, the way that the game was played on Sunday, my frustration for Kevin Stefanski's play calling probably put me in the spot where I was saying things like Kevin Stefanski stinks. Let me clear some stuff up. The reason that Kevin Stefanski got to be is because I do not like his play call. I don't think that he puts his team in the best positions to win all the time. Not to say that he goes out there like, okay, I'm not putting my team in the best position to win, so we're going to lose. I'm not saying that.
I know what you're saying. Right.
I'm just saying.
That's fair.
You know, he doesn't. And I just truly believe it's because he's so analytical. And I continue to say this. If nothing else on this show, I'm consistent. I'm very emotional. I may rant. And here's the crazier part too. I thought about this too. You know, I've had about 3 breakdowns on this show, like complete and total berserk moments where I just lost it. Guess what all 3 of them were about? Kevin Stefanski. All 3 of them. All 3 of them were about Kevin Stefanski. And they tended to all be about similar things. I like his organizational ability. I like his leadership ability. I'm just not 100% sure he need to be calling plays unless during this offseason he grows as a play call and like incorporates some other things into whatever, because I don't know.
And who knows? He may give up the play calling going into next year.
Listen, and he might. But I want to be fully clear. I don't want people to assume or to think or to believe that I don't like the guy. It's not that I don't like him. I've been high on him since day one. But right after the damn Raiders game was when I first started saying, hey, man, Why the hell did Baker Mayfield throw 25 times in that game? It was a game where the damn wind was gusting 50 miles per hour. He threw 25 times and we ran something like 15 times. What the hell are you doing? It's that kind of stuff that bothers me about his choices and play calling. And I said the same thing most of the season in certain games, and I damn sure said it.
And that's fair. I mean, that's fair enough.
Late in the season.
And I'm glad you clarified that.
Yeah, and listen, and I want to be clear because I don't want people to think that I'm dissatisfied or unhappy with the Cleveland Browns this season. Listen, I'd be a goddamn nincompoop to look at an 11-5 season and say I'm pissed. Here's why I was mostly pissed though. I'm gonna say this. I don't care what nobody think after I say this. I don't. The Browns lost a winnable game, a very winnable game. It wasn't lost on that helmet to helmet. It wasn't lost on maybe one or two running plays that didn't get called. Not necessarily. I think that could have changed the game. But those drops didn't help either. Because I still say that second, I went back and watched the game the other day. I watched the game one full time and then like a partial time because when I turned it on, I thought it was earlier and it was like in the middle of the third quarter. So I've watched the game since Sunday at least a time and a half. If Nick Chubb catches that second pass that he dropped, that's a touchdown. And I'm not just saying this. There was nobody in front of him. And we know that when there's people in front of him, he don't always get tackled.
Right,
but
exactly.
There was no one in front of him. So if we squeak that game out, a game that we probably weren't supposed to win, a divisional game that we probably weren't supposed to be in because we weren't that good last year, maybe we make the playoffs is what we all thought. We could have been in the AFC Championship game. And guess what, folks? I think we would have beat the Buffalo Bills. I would have taken my chances with Sean McDermott after beating Andy Reid and Mike Tomlin. And that's my train of thought.
No, I agree with you 100%. I think we definitely could have. I'm not saying we definitely would have beat them, but I think we had an excellent shot.
We would have had a shot. Like what I saw in them earlier in the season, I was a little more afraid of them. What I saw later in the season, I'm like, yeah, we got as good a shot as anybody to beat them.
One thing, Buffalo doesn't even try to run the football at all.
Yeah, exactly.
They make no attempt.
And I like Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen is a stud, but he ain't at a point. He's not at a Tom Brady point or at an Aaron Rodgers point where I'm like, oh shoot.
Right, exactly.
He ain't even at a Ben Roethlisberger spot where we're like, man, we done lost to this dude so much. We're just scared because he might be at the game.
Right.
But this dude ain't that guy yet. And I'm willing to say if you got to put somebody's balls in a crusher, let's do it with Sean McDermott and Josh Allen to see how they do. And if we lose, we lose. We ain't supposed to be here no way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because if we would have beat KC, we really would have been playing with house money at that point.
Man, listen, I said that at the beginning of the KC game. Listen, it's house money, and you absolutely right.
It wouldn't have been no pressure on the Browns at all.
We roll into Buffalo. Ain't nobody expecting us to come out of there with nothing. They ain't expecting nothing but frostbite on a late January afternoon or whatever. So that's a part of where my emotions were, is that I'm like, man, we had this, and Super Bowl opportunities are fleeting. Dan Marino made the Super Bowl in his second season.
Man, just think about how many teams that have lost the Super Bowl never get that chance again. Most of them don't. Like, outside of Buffalo, but Buffalo is an outlier. Them Buffalo teams of the 90s was an outlier when you go 4 times.
Absolutely.
But normally once you go and lose, you rarely have another. Now, New England's another outlier. New England is a few. They've lost a couple, had other champs, but most of the time, teams that have lost, they'll get back to the playoffs, but they rarely get back to
They
another
don't
Super
get
Bowl.
back to that spot. Like, look at the Saints. The Saints didn't lose, but the Saints ain't never got back. They've had teams that were good enough to get back, and they've had times where they could have, you've had questionable calls and bad plays and all that stuff, but at the end of the day, they didn't get back. They didn't get back. As I was saying earlier, Dan Marino made it in his second year in the league. And he said, you make it in your second year, you say to yourself, I'm young, I'm kind of a stud. We got these, man, shoot, I'll be back. Never got back. Played 13 years.
I don't think he even sniffed it.
He never. They made the playoffs a couple times, but they had a lot of bad teams in there too. Like that wasn't what he thought he signed up for. You know what I mean? Boomer and the Bengals. They never got back after '88, and they were right there. They were right there. They was a John Taylor touchdown away from winning the Super Bowl. So I'm saying any of that to say, one of my issues is you can't waste opportunities to get there. Even I don't care how lucky you get to get there, because you still need some luck to get there.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% on that, man. Like, you never know what the future holds. Like, you can go in next year, Baker Mayfield can break his ankle game 1.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Now your season pretty much done for the year. So let's go ahead and move on to the next.
So let's move on. So the offensive coordinator, I'll do this one. I gave.
So we're gonna give grades on all the coaches.
Yeah, just it ain't. We're not gonna itemize each player. I think we'll do positional, and then we'll go on to certain players, but not everybody. So the offensive coordinator, man, I'm giving him a B as well. I think the offense definitely took a jump. Like, it took a huge jump considering where we started, say, in the first half of the season. Towards the back end of the season, you saw things. Baker got more comfortable. Receivers knew where they needed to be and knew where to expect the ball. It looked like a regular offense. It looked like an offense that was working and workable. Again, I think and still believe that we need to run the ball a lot more than what we do. I saw the runs taper off towards the end of the season.
Now, let me ask you this: Are you grading Stefanski as offense coordinator or Van Pelt?
No. I'm grading the whole thing because I'm grading both of them, AVP and Stefanski, because they do the game plan together. Okay. So he is the offensive coordinator, and they do talk about what's going to get called or how they're going to call the plays. And AVP does have some say so. It ain't just Stefanski out there like, no, this is what we running, because he don't even seem like that type of guy. I think there's a cohort of guys that they
all right. I just wanted to clarify that.
Pull in and say, yo, I think we should run this. Why don't we go here? And I don't think they do that on every single play. I think there are a few plays ahead as they should be. But saying any of that, there's a few things that they need to shore up on. Now, again, this is a rookie team, so hopefully there's some growth when it comes to the play calling. There's some growth when it comes to this offense and the things that this offense can be. Maybe we can add some depth on the offensive line. Nothing wrong with the offensive line, but just add a little bit of depth.
You know what? I think the depth on the offensive line showed.
It damn sure did.
You know what I'm saying? Once you lose 3 guys.
I think we're one more guy away, because I was nervous the whole time. Like, damn, Kendall Lamb went out too. Now we got the water boy in there, just like acting like he's 6'6", and we still pulled it off. But what if somebody else get hurt? I'm just looking for like one other person to just add some depth.
Yeah, like the injuries we had on offensive line at the end of the season, that was just unusual.
That shit was an anomaly. That was so much of an anomaly. I don't think I've ever seen guys go down like just drop, all of them. Whether it was COVID or whether it was like, the knee to the back of your Achilles tendon or your calf, whatever you want to call it. I never seen it all happen or all come down with
And the guys that filled in for the most part,
they were good.
played well. They did an excellent job.
All those guys that filled in, but I don't know what their contracts look like. That's why I'm like,
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
I can't say that they're definitely coming back. I really don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. You're right about that.
So that's all I'm saying. Like I think we need to if they're not coming back, you might need to look into bringing some of those dudes back. I'm fine with bringing most of those dudes back.
Got to.
That's where I'm at with the OC though. I'm giving them a B.
I'm gonna give them a B too. I agree with you. Play calling could have been a little bit more consistent. But overall, man, and once again, I'm gonna go back to this. Based on what we had seen for the last 20 years, man, we actually had a competent NFL offense. We can move the ball, because how often it was like night and day watching the Browns and watching the rest of the NFL. We would always say, once the Browns game is over, now I can watch a real football game.
Now I'm gonna watch some real.
Was not real. It was painful to watch them play offense. And so now, and I think that's why we were so shocked at times. Like when the offense was moving, we were crisp. It's like, man, I ain't seen this before. Not with my team.
You always wait for the shoe to fall.
Yeah, you always wait for something bad to happen. And we're going right down the field on cats. So so I'll give them a B. I'll give them a solid B.
Solid B. All right, defensive coordinator, go ahead, bro.
I want to give him an F, but I won't. I'm gonna give Joe Woods a C, and here's why I'm gonna give him a C. First of all, his personnel was bad, so because of that, I can't just go in and crush him. On top of that, as bad as the Browns' defense was, they were a very opportunistic defense. They created a lot of turnovers, and put the offense in position to score. Even in that KC game, as bad as that defense was, they made a couple of key stops in the third quarter to keep us in that football game. So because of that, I'll say, okay, I'm going to give him a C. Now, going into next year, the thing that you can't count on getting as many turnovers as we did this year. I remember the Bears one year. The Bears, when they went to the Super Bowl with Rex Grossman that year, the only reason why they went to the Super Bowl because their defense was, they had so many turnovers and setting them up in the red zone.
Like 2.5 turnovers a game or something like that.
It was something crazy like that. And then once the next year, once they weren't getting those turnovers, then you saw the real Rex Grossman. Rex can drive you 30 yards. You in the red zone. Yeah, he can get you in the end zone from the red zone, but he ain't about to drive you 80 yards.
Hell no.
So that's what I'm saying. So now, hopefully, they're going to get him some players. We're going to draft well, draft defensive heavy, and then we'll see when he actually gets some decent personnel. Let's see what he does. So I'm gonna give him a pass this year. I'm gonna give him a solid C, just based on him not having the horses to work with.
All right. Well, I'm gonna give him a C minus, roughly, for similar reasons. I think his deficiencies, or let me rephrase that. His biggest deficiencies was personnel, from. And everybody suffered from it. Every team did, from COVID and from injury, but also just from a deficit of talent. This team really isn't on the back end of our defense. We really don't have talent, like the depth that we need to have.
No speed, no playmakers.
We have zero speed, and that's just 40 speed, and then we got zero lateral speed. Like we're not fast enough side to side. And that's going to be a problem when you're playing against some of the guys that we end up playing against. You got to have some lateral speed. Our safeties are, again, we just don't have football IQ and the football instincts that I like to see on the football field. Like sometimes I felt like I was watching when my kid used to play basketball, CYO basketball. The coach would be like, hey, man, that's your man. And whether it was my son or somebody else's son, hey, that's your man. And I mean to tell you, they would just follow this dude all around. I mean, the dude running behind them with the ball, but they chasing this one man, like no instinct. Like, do you hear the ball
Right.
dribbling behind you, man? Do you know that the play is over here? You just watching this one guy. That's how I felt watching the Browns. I felt like there was no instinct on the field. Like there was no like, I know that this is the play, but every time they go to this, the quarterback looks over here. I'm gonna jump that route. There's no instinct on those guys, short of Denzel Ward. Denzel shows a lot of instinct. So I'm not talking about Denzel. I'm talking about the rest of those guys. And we also had a lot of guys that were hurt. I don't know nothing about Greedy Williams. I know nothing about this kid in terms of playing, in terms of actually making a play on the field. I don't know anything about it. I don't know if we can depend on him. People keep telling me, oh, we'll be fine when Greedy comes back. Will we?
No, we don't know that. No, we have no idea.
Like, I don't know that. So I'm not giving that I'm not saying that.
He's only played maybe about 5 or 6 games of that many.
Maybe.
In 2
Same
seasons.
thing with Delphic. So, and I know Delphic can play. I've seen him play in college, but he still hasn't made an NFL play yet. So I'm hoping that he recovers fully from his injuries and that he's able to contribute to the squad. But again, I still don't know. I haven't seen him make a play. So we don't know those things. So because of those things, I know he had a deficiency, but I don't particularly care for his play calling either. I don't like
and I forgot to mention that too.
Blitzing.
Yeah, playing that soft.
That, I mean, you
pseudo prevent all game is
once
awful.
Again, if it's 3rd and 6, why is this man 8 yards off the ball?
Right.
Get up on him a little bit. Like, I ain't saying you got to press, but get up on him a little bit. Make him think that we're gonna try to press a little bit and play off, or like nothing. There's nothing tricky to our defense, and we're not good enough to just run a straight defense with guys. So
it's just a strictly a vanilla, what they call a vanilla defensive scheme. So
I give him a C-. Moving on to the quarterback, Mr. Baker. I'm giving the quarterback a solid B, bordering on a B+, because what I saw coming into the season, what I thought coming into the season, was not what I saw going out of the season. I had questions coming in. I wasn't sure about Baker coming in. I was a little nervous about Baker. I think I said he had something like 3 to 5 games to prove something to me. Something.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, because you were going off early in the season.
So I needed to see something from this guy, because this is that critical 3rd year. I know he's had 4 coaches and 4 offensive coordinators or whatever, and that's a lot. So when I say
that
whatever,
3rd year is really when you know whether or not.
But that's
usually if the kid can play or not.
There you go. Like, because at a certain point, it doesn't matter who your offensive coordinator is. Can you throw the ball? Can you designate and differentiate between your guys and the guys that's on the other team? Like, because some throws and some things are just football. You may not know what this play was, but when you see a guy open,
here's what's funny, man. This is funny how sports work and how life works in general. Last year, Lamar Jackson was the MVP. Ton of questions about Baker Mayfield, whether or not he's a guy.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody sold on Lamar Jackson.
Yep.
Now you go into the offseason now, Baker Mayfield is trending upwards, and now people are questioning whether or not Lamar Jackson is going to be a franchise quarterback based on his throwing ability or lack thereof. You know what I'm saying? It's funny how that works sometimes, man. So,
hey, I said that to a couple people within these last couple of days when they were like, that's something we'll talk about in a minute. About do we pay Baker, or do we give him the pick up his option instead or whatever? And I'm like, either way, this dude has better numbers than Lamar Jackson. And y'all fine with him being the quarterback over there. He actually has better numbers than Josh Allen too. Not this particular season, but his overall.
But since they've been in the league, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, I mean, he's right there with them, and all of y'all are okay with them being the franchise guys. What's the issue here? And not to say that I'm 1,000% sold, but I do understand a few things. One of those things being changing out your damn quarterback right now because you're not sold is the equivalent of firing your coach right now and bringing in another coach. You finally got a guy who is performing in your offense, coming back with the exact same offense.
I'm gonna tell you what it is. I'm gonna tell you exactly what it is. When you're a Browns fan, but you're watching a Buffalo game, you're not emotionally invested, so you're watching it casually.
Yeah.
So yeah, Josh Allen will make a bad throw here and bad throw there, but you're not really focused. You know, you're not laser focused in on that game. When you watch the Browns game, you're laser focused. So you're going to critique every single pass. So when he misses a wide open receiver, you're having a fit. Like, oh man, he's not accurate. He's missing a wide open receiver. With Tom Brady does, and not comparing Baker Mayfield to Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers, but those guys do it too.
Yes,
they
do.
It's just that, they're just at a different level, in their careers and everything. But this just to go to show that nobody's perfect. That's pretty much what I'm saying. But we expect perfection out of our guys. You know what I'm saying? So I think that, and plus, and then two, because Baker had struggled last year, I think we're a little bit harder on him going into this year too. It's like, okay, when is this kid gonna get it? Because he started off the year, kind of shaky, which is why I'm giving him. You gave him a solid B going towards B plus. I'm giving him a B minus. This for the overall, season, because he did start off shaky, very inaccurate at times. Showed great improvement as the season went on. He still got some things to work on. Sometimes, when you go back and watch the games, when he's going through his progression, sometimes, he'll miss a guy wide open. Sometimes try to make a play further downfield instead of maybe just taking something underneath it.
Yeah.
So that's things that's going to come with experience. But I give him a B minus overall for this season.
All right. So we're at the running backs position. What do you give the running backs, or do you want to be specific and give Nick Chubb his own?
We can do the running backs as a group, man. So I'm gonna get a running back position an A+ overall. They don't turn the ball over. I don't know if Chubb he may have fumbled maybe once this year.
I think maybe once he did. I can't remember.
Maybe once or twice.
But he's talking about he ended up with something like 400. I'm sorry. He ended up with almost 200 carries and like maybe one or two fumbles.
Okay. Everyone that was called on this year, due to injury or whatnot, everybody stepped up, even going all the way down to Dearness Johnson when he had to come in. So that's why I'm giving the group an A+, solid all the way around, professional, versatile backs. Only thing is, and this goes back to the play calling, just get Kareem Hunt involved. I don't think they know what to do with him for some reason. They got him there, and they still trying to back. I guess because you got two great running backs, you're trying to figure out balance. You know that Chubb is your workhorse, and it's only so many plays in a game. And I think when Hunt is out there, it's so much more that you can do with him, and they're not, like getting him out in space on a consistent basis. So that's one thing that next year that I want to see. And now that you got an offseason, you should have a regular. Well, it still won't be normal, but it should be more normal than it was last year.
Yeah.
He should have his own package of plays when he's in the game. You know what I'm saying? Just to take advantage of that threat, man. So, but overall, A+ to the running backs, man. Kudos. I think they're the heart and soul of the team. So,
I gave them a solid A. I think I would have given them an A+, but part of my grade is not their fault. They just weren't utilized the way that they should have been utilized.
Mhm.
And Chubb missed 4 games. That ain't his fault per se. He was injured, so it's nothing you can do there. But Hunt filled in solidly. He wasn't great. He had a couple good games, and then he had a couple games where like, I don't know what the hell he's doing or what kind of plays they're calling for him. Didn't seem like they were calling the same plays they were calling for Chubb when he comes in the game.
No, they don't. Yeah, you're
Also,
absolutely right about that.
I think too, I would honestly like to see them on the field together more. I think that just throws the defense. The defense don't know what the hell to do at that point.
Right.
Even if they're not in the same backfield at the same time. If you bring in Hunt and put him in a slot or something or start him in the backfield and run him into the slot, and then you keep Chubb in the back, or vice versa, I think that shows a lot of. It just imbalances the defense. Again, football ain't the most calculated game in the world. Some of it is very simple. And I think the mismatches is where you win the games. They kept putting Tyreek Hill in the slot and just running him across the middle behind linebackers and awful safeties and in front of awful safeties. And they kept getting plays off of it. Not because that's the greatest play in the world, but ain't nobody stopped it yet. It's the same thing. We have the same types of players here. Not exactly the same, but we got the same type. We could run those same plays. We could do those same types of things when we run those mismatches, and I don't think that we did that. So, but shout out to all those guys from Dontrell Hilliard, Chubb, Hunt, all those guys, Dearness Johnson, all those guys played really well this year. I was pretty proud of those guys. So I give them a solid A, the first A on my list. And then we move to the offensive line, which is simple, A+. That's it.
Yeah,
I don't think there's nothing else to be said. These dudes have one of the least sacked quarterbacks and one of the best running attacks in the league, all at the same time. And half the time they were hurt. Most of the time they weren't playing as a complete intact unit. Bill Callahan is a wizard at calling the offensive line schemes. I think that was a huge pickup. They need to do whatever they can to keep that dude around. I know he's a little older. He's a little up in age.
I don't think Bill Callahan will get any calls about head coach position, so I think he's safe here. So you got to do whatever you got to do.
Somebody might give him a call for an offensive coordinator, though.
Yeah. You're right about that. I didn't think about that.
There's always that, but whatever we got to do, I don't give a damn if you got to outbid somebody. I think he's worth. I think he's worth having around. I mean, listen, that line.
Isn't he technically like the assistant head coach too?
I think he was. I think he would have been the head coach had he not been out with COVID too.
Yeah, something. I think he had like another. I think Stefanski did a good job with his staff because he got guys that are good teachers.
Yeah.
Callahan is a great. I mean, everywhere he goes, he always has a great offensive line. Even as a head coach, he may not have been a successful head coach, but his offensive lines were great wherever he went.
Some people aren't. They just aren't the head coaching type. But you're right. Everywhere this dude is gone. When he was in Dallas, that's when Zeke had his best years, when he was in Dallas. He was the offensive line coach then. And I think he might have been off. No, he wasn't. That was that other quarterback, Kellen, was the offensive coordinator back then. But anyway, so yeah, A+ for that offensive line. Defensive line, I'm giving him a B-, C+. I think.
Yeah, I'm giving them a C. I think they underachieved for the most part.
They was all right. They didn't they didn't connect at the same time. So when
Right.
Olivier was playing good, either Miles wasn't playing or Miles wasn't playing that good. Like he was recovering
Right.
from the COVID still or whatever. When Miles was beasting, Olivier was nowhere to be damn found. Like we couldn't get them on the same page at the same time.
And then Sheldon will pop up with a good game. Now, one
And then
person who had a bad season.
yeah.
Now, Okunjobi had a very bad season.
You
know what? I'll take that back. Very bad is an overstatement. He had a lackluster season. He
didn't have a great season, especially with the expectations coming into this year. He had a good season last year. You would have thought he would have piggybacked at least a little bit on that. He didn't do that, and you're right. It was a contract year.
He probably won't.
I don't think they're gonna pick him up. I don't see a reason to pick him up at this.
And some of the youngins came on towards the end of the season. Jordan Elliott, he started flashing, and then this Taylor kid, which I don't know where he came from, he started flashing towards the end of the season, making some plays too.
Yeah.
So I think Ogunjobi was here for what? He was here for a while, maybe 6 years.
We drafted him, didn't we? So he's been here 4 years.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So for the most part, he had a decent stint with us, but I think they're going a different direction now.
I think it's time to go in another direction. My own self, and I like Larry, but I just think that he didn't make a big enough impact on the line. And Sheldon actually had a really good season, so it wasn't like you didn't have no help over there. You like our run defense is still not good, so we got to figure out what to do with that. And there's no sense of bringing that guy back when you could just bring in some new blood to try to figure out the issue. Linebackers, listen, I did everything I could not to get these dudes an F or a D. I did everything I could to not give them an F or a D. So I ended up with a C minus. And honestly, you know what got them a C minus? One person, BJ Goodson. I was very hard. If you remember the one show we did, Donnie said, "How good is your defense when BJ Goodson is the quarterback of it?" And we all laughed. But BJ actually was solid by the end of the season.
He was.
I remember when he wasn't in the game, when he got hurt, I could tell the difference.
Yeah.
I could see the difference. Like, you need BJ out there. BJ is a leader. Now, he's not fast. But he's always everywhere. He's always around the ball somewhere. I like him. I like Phillips. I think Phillips has a lot of upside too.
He just got to stay on the field, man. He's another one who can't stay healthy.
He got to stay on the field. Taki and Mac Brown are.
Mac Wilson.
I said Mac Brown. I think I do that every time I call that dude's name. Mac Wilson. Because if I see a 70-year-old white dude in a Browns jersey, I'm gonna be upset. Talking about he playing. For y'all that don't know, Mac Brown used to
right.
But Mac Wilson and Taki, these guys are they're not good tackles. And that's a problem for me because Mac is fast. Mac has the speed. He don't have any technique and no he wants to hit stick everybody. So does Taki.
Yeah, those two are the most frustrating outside of the safeties. Those two guys individually are two of the most frustrating guys to watch on the team because they get there.
Yeah, they do. They
get to the spot to make the play. They just don't finish it.
Yes, they do. They absolutely get there. There was a play in the Kansas City game where Taki had a tackle. It was a screen pass. And he got past the block, got straight to the man. Probably would have held him to a 1 yard tackle, 1 yard gain had he tackled him. Ended up giving up 8 yards because he tried to hit stick him. Yeah. And the dude just spun around and skipped up the field. So now you got instead of a 3rd and long, you got a 3rd and 2.
And that's why I'm giving the linebackers a D-. That's exactly why I'm giving them a D-. And them dudes are awful. As a unit, they're just terrible, man. They like no speed, no nothing, man. like what linebacker did you see come up in a hole and make a play on a run or something like that? You know,
a damn D-.
And they couldn't stay healthy. They couldn't stay healthy. Like Michael Smith he's a veteran. When he a Super Bowl MVP?
Yeah. So look, allegedly.
Yeah.
Allegedly. He ain't play like that for us.
No, like they would flash every now and then. It just wasn't consistent.
They make a play. And listen, sometimes you just need some guys to make a play. So that's fine. I'm not. Here's. I think I killed I killed Kevin Stefanski on Sunday. Okay. So that's my one kill for the week. I don't want to kill guys today. I just want to be honest today. I just want to. That's why you heard me say I'm trying not to be, bad. Sean apparently doesn't care. We ain't on the same page on this one.
I haven't been killing people. I just killed a linebacking core. That's pretty much it.
Listen, they stunk. They had their moments where they stunk, man. Like they were bad, and we have to get better in that position. That's simple, plain and simple. I don't know if it's that we need to get younger. I don't know if it's that we need to go out and get.
Well, we definitely want to get younger. We got young guys, Taki,
but are they
Phillips and Mac Wilson are young.
But are they the young guys that you need though?
Right. So I'm saying we just need to either. I think what they'll do a combination of free agency and the draft. They're gonna sign a linebacker in free agency, and then you got to get one. As a matter of fact, I would be shocked if the Browns did not target either a defensive end or a linebacker first in the draft. And I'm talking about like a beast. I'm talking about a guy that can get after it. One of those type of guys.
They have to. I don't think you got a choice because that can change that at least on paper can change the trajectory of your whole team. If you get you get that particular pick right. If you end up with a beast on the edge, if you end up with a really solid linebacker, you put your you just
because what else is going to happen too? Well, we don't know this yet because teams haven't really started cutting too many guys, but there's going to be some salary cap casualties. So it's going to be some veterans out there that we're going to be able to pick up that can definitely help the team immediately.
Maybe there'll be a 1-year guy, whatever. But we gotta do something. These guys, we gotta do something. All right, cornerback.
Now you want to do the secondary as a whole, or you want?
We're gonna do cornerback, and then we'll do safeties.
All right, the cornerbacks get from me. They get a C-.
I'm giving them
a D. Get a C-. You giving them what, a D?
I'm giving them a D.
Okay. And it's basically just their biggest issue was technique.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times they weren't getting like toasted, but they didn't know how to spot the ball. Ball's in the air. You can see the receiver's eyes turn to look at the ball, and they're still looking at the back of the receiver's jersey, either not making a play or getting a pass interference or just something ridiculous. And guys like Terrence Mitchell should know better. He's been in the league for a while. Who else was out there? Kevin Johnson was hurt. Somehow he lacerated his liver in training camp. I don't know how you lacerate a liver. But so he was kind of behind the 8 ball when he came in.
The only time you hear about somebody lacerating a liver, that's what K2 did in a motorcycle accident.
Yeah, and this dude did it in practice.
God dang.
Denzel, that's Denzel, but as Denzel go, he can't stay on the field either.
Can't stay on the field. Greedy.
Who
Same thing.
else was out there? Robert. And then towards the end of the season, because of COVID and injuries, we had the special teams guys filling in
Stewart was out
at
there.
corner. Like Travier Thomas is awful.
Terrible.
Robert Jackson's awful.
Terrible. What's
yeah,
his
so
name?
that's something else.
MJ Stewart, terrible.
He did okay.
He was terrible, dog.
You know what though? Out of all the backups, he probably played the best. At least he made some plays.
Well, okay, all right, I get that.
You know what I'm saying?
He did
made
make
a couple of big plays
that were necessary. We needed those picks.
Right.
You know, but like I said, the linebackers made plays too. You still gave them a D.
Yeah.
So look, my D.
Matter of fact, I'm changing my grade. I'm revising my grade. I'm giving them a D. Them dudes was terrible. The whole back end of the defense.
Safety.
And then we come to the safety. F.
Do we even need to go into the safety play?
F plus.
Yeah, I'm
Matter of fact, if I could give him a G, I'll give him a G. That's how bad they were. I'm giving them a G.
Now, I'll be honest,
awful.
I was trying to be somewhat I won't say nice, but I was trying to be somewhat like because of Harrison. Harrison, when he played, he was actually relatively decent.
Yeah, the 5 games he was out there.
And also, I think Carl Joseph, once he figured out where he should be and where he shouldn't be, he got better out there as well. So that might have brought their grade up to a regular F for me. Because I was probably aiming at like an I or H. Because the one guy, the most durable guy in that defensive backfield was Andrews and Deho, the one guy who I wanted to be out every week. Listen, and I don't want nobody to think I was wishing ill on him. I didn't want him to be hurt. I didn't want him to have COVID. I just didn't want him to play. That's all I'm saying. He was terrible. Andrews and Deho may have played the worst safety that I've seen in professional football over the course of, I think he played 13 games. He was
something like that.
He was awful. And I gave the safeties a D. An F. A solid F. They earned that F. They earned that F.
Right.
Your special teams, I gave the special teams a C plus because of Stinky Foot, Cody Parkey.
Right.
So, but everybody else,
the special teams was kind of nondescript. They didn't do anything. Now, earlier in the season, we were giving up some chunk plays on kickoff returns, but they pretty much nipped that in the bud.
No, they were pretty solid tackling wise. Their technique was good. They stayed in there like they should have, which is why I say for the most part, when I look at the whole, I remember at one point in the season we were coming down on the Scottish hammer a little bit, and then he started kicking, more precise, a little bit better. So I'm like, okay, stuff was,
I'm giving them a C.
Was a decent.
They were kind of just
returner.
nondescript. Yeah, they were nondescript this year.
Our return guys were decent. The only real big flaw, every stinking time Cody Parkey goes out on the field, I'm like, come on, dude. Come on, man. Like, come on. Please. Okay, he made it. Cool. Good. Now I just gotta wait till the next time. And with the Browns.
Now maybe if they bring him back, let's say they bring Cody Parkey back. He did kick well in the playoffs. Maybe that gives him some confidence. I don't know.
Here's what I got to say about that. If they bring him back, if we bring him back, whatever we get, we deserve. And I don't know if that means he's gonna blow a game. He's gonna blow a game. Can I put that out there? Whether it's for us or whether it's for somebody else, he's gonna blow a game.
I hope if they do bring in somebody else, bring in a bona fide veteran guy that's been in the league for a while, that's proven. I don't want them drafting a kicker.
I just need somebody who can kick in the cold. Can we get somebody who can kick in the cold? Because if you get a guy, you remember where was the one kid from? He was the kicker of the year. I think he was from like Arizona or something.
Oh, that we drafted some of Zane Gonzalez.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
right.
Then he comes here. He came here, and he couldn't kick the damn ball in the lake if he was standing on the shore. But you're dealing with a different condition. You and I talk about this often.
Yeah, because he's actually
on a calm
he's still in the league.
Huh?
I think he's with Arizona, the Cardinals.
He probably is. I think that's where he went to college, like Arizona State or something like that.
He went to Arizona State. Yeah, with that one pick didn't make any sense at all. Like, why would you draft a kicker from the desert
to come to Cleveland?
Come kick here? And he's probably kicking in controlled conditions too.
Yeah, because Sun Devil Stadium is out. Ain't that outside?
No, that's in the open. Yeah, it's outside. Yeah, it is. Okay, I'm thinking of
you're thinking about
Cardinals Stadium.
Cardinals. But hell, listen, the air in the desert is a lot thinner than it is here. Like, it's always humid here. Even in the wintertime, it's humid here. So that does change how the ball carries and stuff like that.
Right.
And again, you're talking about a place that has a lot of wind. We have a lot of wind in that stadium. And he has to deal with that. And it's cold on top of that. And this dude some people just don't do well coming from the desert like that.
Now, the kickers, it's really just an NFL period. Ever since they moved the extra point back, 95% of the kickers in the league are inconsistent.
They've been
even guys like Greg Zuerlein, Greg DeLeg, even he's fallen off. Look at Justin Tucker late in the season. Justin Tucker was automatic his whole career. He started struggling. Mason Crosby, all these so-called, I won't call them so-called, but guys that have been great kickers in the past.
But if you had Justin Tucker, if you had Zuerlein on your squad, you'd be more confident than you were with Cody Parkey, though.
Oh, of course.
Like, even if they miss one or two, you'd be like, that's Greg Zuerlein. He'll figure it out. That's, you ain't really getting guys like, that we used to have back in the day, like Matt Barr. Matt Barr could have kicked in a hurricane and a blizzard at the same time. He probably was still gonna make it. Like, I don't know why or what was in his leg or in his foot, but that dude used to he hit him off. Him and his brother. His brother played too, Chris Barr. They both just, man, boom, 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 every time. They were really solid. Matt Stover was another one that was here with us. A really good, solid kicker. Really good, solid kicker. Phil Dawson, another really solid. It's a bad thing when your damn kicker is the best player on the team. And Phil Dawson.
We talked about that. Him and Josh Cribbs are the two best players on your team. And they're on special teams. So there's one position group we left out, which is the receivers. The receivers.
Oh, we did leave out the receivers. How the hell I leave out the receivers?
Right.
You know what? I give the receivers a B, a solid B.
I'm giving them a C.
I think that they are a work in progress too.
Yes.
They're a work in progress because they're part of a new offense as well. And they're trying to coordinate with their quarterback. They're trying to figure out where they need to be and what they need to do.
That's what I'm giving them a C just because, they had too many drops this year. And I'm including tight ends too. I'm including the receivers, tight ends.
Okay.
That whole group.
Well, if you saying it that way, I probably drop mine down to like a B minus. B minus, C plus. Because I you know what? Actually, it'll be a C plus, actually, for the wide receivers, because I think Hooper started out good. I don't think he ended that well. personally.
He was just inconsistent.
Blocking he did, but not catching.
Bryant showed flashes, but then he had a fumbling problem.
Right.
At times.
Yep.
Now, the person I will give credit to for completely revamping his game is Njoku.
Yeah, Njoku did a good job.
Njoku was complaining that he wasn't getting the ball, completely bought into becoming a blocker, blocked his ass off all season because he wasn't known for that. He wasn't known for being a blocking tight end at all. Shut his mouth and bought into the system.
And just played.
And just played. And played his role. So now he probably won't be here next year either. But
he probably won't. But I think he made a case for himself to be around if they wanted him, because let's be honest,
back. Right.
I think early in that game anyway, in the KC game, I think only him and Baker were the only two guys that showed up to play.
I remember you said that, and I agree. I agree with you 100%. Everybody else in the day was nervous
or something. And, like they were just off. I'm not 100% sure what it was, but yeah, whatever it was, those were the only two guys that looked like they were ready to play some damn football early in that game on Sunday.
All right, so
there we go on that.
You want to give an overall grade for the team? A team grade?
I don't think we need to. You think so?
Okay.
I don't think so. I think, the individual grades is enough. I mean, hell, they went 11-5 or 12-6, and I guess if you look at the whole record, 12-6. They had a really good season. They had their ups, they had their downs, and let's be honest, they still didn't have one of their best players on offense. The defense really isn't that good behind the front four. So, to be honest, everything is looking upwards for the team. To be totally honest, we have no reason to be like where we usually are.
Right.
Our levels of frustration.
And something else I thought about too that nobody gives him credit for. Baker Mayfield, the last 2 seasons, has played all 16 games.
Yep.
And we have not had a quarterback.
Not. Yeah. I didn't think about him playing 2 seasons all the way through. I did think about him playing all 16 games this year, though.
Yeah, he's had two seasons where he's played all 16 games, and that has to be a record. Well, it's not a franchise record because you all know about Otto Graham and them probably didn't miss no games back in the day. But in the modern era of the Browns, I can't think of a quarterback. Bernie never played all 16. Maybe one of those seasons.
Maybe one or something like that.
And maybe one or something like that. But that's definitely a great accomplishment, to his durability, especially those first 2 seasons when the line wasn't all that great.
Yeah.
So
last year, I don't think the offensive line was terrible last year. Not as terrible as people were saying.
He was holding on to the ball too long.
He just was holding on to that damn ball way too long, trying to figure out where he needed to go with it. But, thankfully, and he was doing that early in the season too, by the way. Holding on to the ball too long, locking in on receivers. He had a few games where he really kind of stunk. His play was not good at all, but he figured it out, and that's a testament to his work. That's a testament to Alex Van Pelt. That's a testament to the quarterbacks coaches, to Stefanski. That's a testament to all of those guys, because you have to buy in still, whether you like it, whether it feels good, whether you know what I mean. That ain't what I normally do. Man, you got to figure this thing out. Do you want to play or not? And if you're going to keep playing, we need you to play at this level. We need you to do this. And to his credit, Baker did those things, really settled down. Over the back end of the season, he only threw 1 pick. 1 pick in 8 games.
I think he finished with 28 touchdowns, or 27 touchdowns,
26,
and 8.
26 and 8.
26 and 8. Okay.
26 and 8.
Still solid season.
Listen, it was not a bad season at all. 3,500 yards. But he didn't start out the season that great. So to end up,
and he had 3 games in a row where you had horrible weather.
Absolutely.
That pretty much took away the passing game too.
Yeah, those 3 games. Well, it should have, except for the damn Raiders game. He passed a lot, but he shouldn't have been throwing that damn ball at all. But those 3 games were tough to throw in, especially that Raiders game. I think they were saying some of the gusts in the Raiders game was like 50, 55 miles per hour.
Yeah, something like that.
Like
right.
something ridiculous in that game. So yeah, even if he had been connected on those passes, that's tough to throw in. Those are tough conditions to even have to stand on the sideline. So but Baker did a good job. He leaves me feeling like we got our guy going forward for the first time in a little bit. Not one of those, well, he's under contract, so I guess he'll be our quarterback. I genuinely feel like, all right, this is the guy.
So what do you think the Browns are going to do? If they're going to pick up the option or go ahead and extend it?
That one is a tougher call, though. I'm not 100% sure. And I meant to do this. I didn't get a chance to. I wanted to look at the type of money that the last round of guys, quarterbacks that got paid, like see what their money looked like and try to figure out where that would balance Baker in that fray. But next year will be,
that group would be like the Carson Wentz group. Carson Wentz.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
Deshaun Watson.
Right. And I mean, and listen, he's not, to be honest, just being fair, he's not right this second. I wouldn't give him $200 million. But
right.
But what do you give him and not insult him, so to speak, going into that negotiation?
If I was the Browns, I would go ahead and pick up the 5th-year option and see what he does. And if he has another good year next year, then you go ahead and extend him.
And let me say this. I think that this front office is a lot like Kevin Stefanski. I think these guys are very analytical. I don't think they're going, like, they're probably solid poker players. I don't think they're going to overplay their hand. I think they're going to wait. I think doing the option is the smart thing to do. You lock the guy up for another season. You keep him around and you see what he does. That gives you what, next year and the year after that, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
So you got your quarterback for roughly 3 years. This year, this next year coming up, and then the year after that. In those 3 years, you should be able to tell whether he's really, really your guy that you're going to end up having to pay somewhere between,
right?
Let's be honest, somewhere between $120 and $200 million to.
Right, because I think what Tanner's going to look at, they're going to look at the Carson Wentz and the Dak Prescott situation.
Yeah, for sure.
Where Dak, Carson Wentz can't stay healthy. Now he just looks awful. But you already gave him the extension based on potential. Whereas Dak, Dallas kind of like, well, we're not sure. And Dak has put up great numbers. We hadn't won anything.
Getting hurt though.
That getting hurt.
That injury, and I do not like the Dallas Cowboys. I'm not even a huge Dak Prescott fan per se. But that injury, I was hurt over that because I knew the dude was trying to get his money. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like Jerry Jones, he paid Tony Romo, and Tony Romo didn't win nothing.
Yeah, that's true.
So how you gonna stall out on my man right now? And he doing the same things that Tony Romo was doing.
Yeah, who else got extended? Mahomes got his, but he wanted the Super Bowl. He don't count. Yeah.
No, yeah. I don't care how good Baker played. He not he's not at my home level yet. Not on a regular basis anymore.
He's not even at Deshaun Watson level yet.
He's not, and that's what I mean. Like, I wouldn't give him $200 million like they gave Deshaun. I think Deshaun is worth that, taking that chance on anyway.
Right.
I mean, hell, if you're gonna give Carson Wentz that, yeah, I give it to Deshaun Watson, because I think Deshaun Watson is better than Carson Wentz, especially for actually being on the field and playing. But
right.
I think you do pick up the 5th year, play it a little. I think they're going to play it a little bit safe, and see what he gives them. The other question is, next year is the last year of Nick Chubb's contract, and I've seen this come up, and some of the groups that I'm in, some of the sports groups I'm in. Do you pick him up with the big long-term contract, or I've seen it a couple ways. I've seen them ask, who do you pay first between Baker and Chubb? So I'll ask that question first. If that was an issue in the front office, if you're the front office, who do you pay first? Do you pay Baker? Do you pay Nick Chubb? Do you extend him? Do you let him run the course of that contract and then pay him? How would you handle it?
Oh man, why can't we pay him at the same time though? You have to put one or the other. You know, they came in the draft together, but now what you do, as far as contract wise with Chubb, I'm torn because I know how fast running backs deteriorate. I don't want to be in a situation like with Todd Gurley or even Ezekiel Elliott. You give them all that money and they fall off. It has to be a happy medium somewhere. But I don't know what Chubb's attitude is towards this. Can you give him a shorter term deal? Give him, okay, we're going to give you a nice chunk up front, maybe put a lot front loaded in the signing bonus or something like that without getting tied down into a long-term contract. I don't know, man. I'm torn on that because Chubb is more than just a running back, man. He's a leader. He's the heart and soul of the team, the heartbeat of the football team. And he's not a guy, people will say, well, you can always go pick up another back. Yes, you can go pick up another back.
Yeah,
but like I said, he's just not only
kind of dude.
A running back. He's a different type of guy, that you need on this team. And if you lose him, the city will have a fit.
Yeah,
so
that's gonna be a listen,
I don't envy.
Hey, bro, we lost our mind when we traded Trent Richardson.
No, y'all lost your mind. I was happy when we traded that late Trent.
Like we went berserk when they traded.
I was the only one in the city.
You might have said
that was a good trade.
Man, I was like, man, what?
Y'all was going crazy.
I was pissed, but probably was one of the best trades ever. It was a very, very shrewd move. That was shrewd. Like that was my hat's off, my kudos. Who was I can see his face. What's his name?
Banner, Joe Banner.
Joe Banner. Yep, that was a very shrewd play by Mr. Banner. That was called.
I forgot about them years. That was them Brandon Whedon years. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, we were awesome.
Drafting a 30-year-old quarterback. But Chubb, that's one. I don't envy the front office when you have to make that decision. That's a tough one.
Well, here are my thoughts.
There has to be a way that you can get creative with that without tying down the salary cap. In case, he does what running backs do, which is deteriorate after, year 4 or 5.
So I agree. And that's tough because, I love Nick Chubb. I am in 1,000% accord with what you're saying in terms of what he means to the team. This ain't no regular guy. This ain't some guy you pick up This ain't what's the white kid's name that was here? Peyton Hillis. This ain't Peyton Hillis, where you have that one remarkable season and now you're like, yo, you got to pay me, son. No, we're talking about a workhorse. We're talking about a guy that has averaged 1,000 yards every year, like where his averages are.
Right.
You know, we're talking about a guy that finished second, probably could have finished first in the NFL, not this season, the year before last, had it not been for Dum Dum Kitchens. You know, and then he comes back this year, only plays 8 games, starts to see some of his carries, fall, and he still scored 1,000 yards. I mean, still got 1,000 yards and scored 12 touchdowns. So this, just from that standpoint, just looking at it from a statistical standpoint, this guy ain't, we could get another running back type of guy. Those ain't regular running back numbers. These teams, I watched what the Steelers try to do. I watched what the Ravens try to do. I watched what the Chiefs did on Sunday. These guys are so afraid of that dude. They're just running at wherever he is.
Yeah.
They had the Honey Badger basically spying him wherever he was going on the field. Like, you just got to keep somebody on him. That's what I mean about the mismatches. You have to utilize your mismatches. You got a whole play. So you basically playing 10 on 10 now, in a nutshell. But you got to learn how to move your offense in a way that changes what those guys do. But back to Chubb, the reason that they were doing that ain't because Nick Chubb is some regular dude that you just pick up anywhere. The reason that they're doing that is because this dude is special. Now, flip side of that coin is Nick Chubb had knee problems in college. Had some knee injuries in college. And he's a running back. And he's a hard running back. And he's a contact guy. So from a business standpoint, the question is going to be, do you pay this guy? I went and I did the research on him, but didn't do the same thing with Baker. I didn't get a chance to do it. You know, I did the research. And when I name these guys off, the problem is going to be where he actually lands in this group of guys. So the top 10 guys in terms of paychecks, you got Todd Gurley at $5.5 million. He's 10th. You got Eckler from the Chargers at $6.1 million. You have Saquon.
He makes that much money?
I didn't know that either. I did not know that, but I guess he does. I didn't know it until I looked it up. I wouldn't have thought that at all. I don't think he's that good. I don't think
he's okay, but he can't stay healthy either.
Yeah, I don't think he's awful. I don't think he's that good. I wouldn't be paying him $6 million a year.
Right.
Saquon, $7.8 million.
Can't stay healthy.
Melvin can't stay healthy. Melvin Gordon, $8 million.
Can't stay healthy.
Kenyon Drake, $8.5 million.
Man, get out of here. Now, wait a minute. Now, stop it.
Bro.
Who would pay Kenyon Drake $8 million? See, that's why the damn Cardinals are the damn Cardinals for doing stuff like that. That's why they've been one of the worst franchises in the history. You know what? People don't know how old the Arizona Cardinals franchise is because they're so nondescript. People don't look at them as a charter franchise. But I think the Arizona Cardinals are the oldest team in NFL, or one of them.
Maybe. I think Chicago is up there too.
Yeah, but they were the Chicago Cardinals back in the day.
Right.
And before Kurt Warner got there, and their whole history, man, I had counts. Everybody was always dogging the Browns about how bad we were. And the Cardinals weren't taking no flack. I was like, I know for a fact, when I was a kid, when we had Neil Lomax and Roy Green and them, they had good players, but they were terrible.
when they were in Phoenix at that time, right?
No, they were still in St. Louis. They moved to
Or were they still in
Phoenix in
St. Louis?
'88.
Okay.
But I wouldn't count it like, you know me. I got spare time trying to do silly stuff like this. But before Kurt Warner got there, and their whole history since like 1918, man, them fools had like 3 winning seasons. Something crazy like that. But I'm sorry, I got off on 10. But paying Kenyon Drake $8 million a year, that's why the Cardinals.
Look, don't leave the 500K off, bro. 8.5.
That's crazy. But go ahead, man. Go ahead with the list.
So that's Kenyon. Okay. So now we get into the top 5. You have Derrick Henry at 12.5.
Okay.
You have, David Johnson at 13.
Oh no.
Yeah.
And who gave him that money? You know what? See, Arizona again.
There you go. Look, dude.
There we go.
Then you got Le'Veon at 13 million. You have Zeke at 15 million, and then you have McCaffrey at 16 million.
And you see what happened to him after he got paid? He played like 4 games last year.
Here's where the problem is, Sean. I just named off 10 guys. It's only one guy on this squad that I would pick over, and I don't know that I would pick him over, but I might one other guy that somebody else would say is better or they'd rather have, and that's Derrick Henry.
Yep.
And if that's the case, Derrick Henry is getting 12.5. That means that's going to be somewhere where Nick should be, or based on this list, Nick Chubb is the second best.
And quietly, and if you think about it, as much as they've been running Derrick Henry,
yeah,
like the season this year,
same
you can
thing.
see him slowing down.
Same thing.
So,
but
that's where the front office, they're gonna have to be careful. They're going both parties, the Nick Chubb camp and the Browns front office, they're gonna have to be smart and come to some type of middle ground.
I think
with all of that because what Nick Chubb is going to do is say, "Hey, I'm better than David Johnson, Le'Veon Bell."
Yes, the hell he is. Yes, the hell he is.
And then what the Browns front office are going to come back and say, yeah, these guys got paid, but then they broke down after XYZ. That's why we don't want to invest that type of thing. So sometimes they're going to get creative.
They're going to have to. They're going to have to try to figure a way to do it without it being or becoming contentious. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they can't allow it to be like a misunderstanding where this dude walks away and feels disrespected. They got to figure out a good middle ground to try to talk like you said, maybe even give him a shorter contract with a lot of it front loaded so you don't have so much dead money in 4 or 5 years.
Right.
You know what I mean? That might help. But the plus side to this for the Browns is, in all honesty, the Browns, as I said earlier, have been in the best position when it comes to cap. And they can be creative. And honestly, they can pay both of these guys, Baker and Nick, and still be okay. It will only become a problem as you get into the latter years, depending on how steep, how long, and how much you're paying these guys. It only becomes a problem later on because then their money bumps up against Miles's money. You know what I mean? So now you start to see where that cap space starts to shrink up a little bit more. And I think the Browns enjoy having the ability and the flexibility of that cap space. Now, I'm about to say something that you might not like, but it's something that I've been thinking about since I've been looking at this. Because we're dealing with analytical guys, I'm not 100% sure they're going to pay Nick Chubb the way he wants to get paid, and he may not be a part of this team much longer.
I thought about that too. I thought about that while we were discussing that. But the thing that I don't want to do is turn Stefanski and those guys into robots because they're analytic heavy. Because at some point, I would think that they're smart enough to understand what he means to that locker room. You know what I'm saying?
No,
I'm
I thoroughly agree.
Yeah,
I
I'm
agree.
hoping that they'll be smart.
And
But I understand where you're coming from. As a matter of fact, not even being analytical, just the standpoint of just pure salary cap, running backs breaking down early, and
that being a
just
part
from
of it too.
a pure, yeah.
Think about it, and that being that's a part of the front office. That to me, that's the front office's thought process. When I come in with the analytics, I think, and I said this, I think Andrew Berry is an analytical guy, or going to be an analytical guy when it comes to paying guys too. Like he's gonna put all of these things into play. So I'm not putting all of this on Stefanski. This is front office guys.
I know what you're saying.
You know, this is.
I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah.
You know, because now on the field part, I'll be honest with you, with the way things look, because I don't know what's going to happen next season. I don't know what it's going to look like next season. Maybe they go into next season and he's like, yo, man, I got this AR-15 and I keep going into these gunfights with this 9mm. I need to start using this AR a little bit more. Maybe I'll get shot less. You know what I mean? Right. I don't know how that's gonna work out. I do know that I saw a decrease in his usage and in Kareem Hunt's usage as the season, especially like the last 4 or 5 games, it just started to dwindle down. We went from both of them running 18, 19 times a game to this dude running 11 times and this dude running 4 times. Like, what happened? And these weren't games where we were being blown out or anything like that. That's just how the game was called. Right. So there could be a thought process that it doesn't matter who we get to run these plays, because if we get the quarterback, I think he's gearing it a little bit more towards throwing, because I saw an uptick in Baker's his attempts and stuff. In those same games, I saw another uptick. You know, in the first 8 games, he didn't throw more than 37 times, which was too much. Not take that back. He threw 39 times against the Ravens, but we were getting our asses handed. So I understand why he threw that much in that game. After that, you rarely saw him throw that much. It was hovering in the 20s and hovering in maybe 25, 20. To me, that's a safe range for us. It's somewhere between 25 and 31-ish. That's a safe range for us being the Browns. That's in my mind. Who the hell am I? I'm just a dude that got a podcast. That's it. But I think the coaches want him to do a little bit more, because as I looked at his numbers after the Jaguars game, he threw 33, 47, 32, 53, and 27. And these were games that we weren't out of. We were in these games. The only game that he had to throw a lot in, to be honest, was the Ravens game, because that was kind of a shootout. You know, we were behind. So I understand that number being a little bit higher. So you see a slight uptick in Baker's usage, a slight downtick in the whole running backs, not just Nick, but Kareem too. Now Kareem already got his money. You hit on something earlier and it really made my wheels turn. You said something earlier about Kareem Hunt, the fact that they don't know how to use him. Maybe they don't know how to use him because Nick Chubb is there. But I think that Hunt's effectiveness is catching and running. He gives you a little more just on the entire field. So maybe they're thinking this dude is already locked up. He's going to be here for the next 3 years. Nick Chubb's going to make $1.5 million, I think. Yeah, $1.5 million next year.
Yep.
And if we get where we want to get with him, cool. I don't know that we want to pay him $13 million. We could get anybody to come in here and back up Kareem Hunt. Like, the Browns are in I wouldn't say they're playing with house money, but they're in a kind of advantageous spot. It's not
Exactly.
like you got Nick Chubb and the next dude is Dontrell Hilliard. You know what I mean? You actually have a dude who's already led the league in rushing, a guy who's led the league in all-purpose yards, a guy who's played in a high-powered offense. And again, I don't want to vilify the Browns front office or the coaching staff. What I'm actually trying to do is make people think a little bit. And I don't want
at the end of the day, it's still a business.
It's still a business. It's still a business. And
I think you're right. I believe Kareem Hunt is the safety net just in case things don't go right with Nick Chubb. So.
And I'm gonna tell you this, everybody, just so y'all know where I really feel, if they don't re-sign Nick Chubb, I'm gonna lose it.
Oh man.
I'm going look, I put that on a sports post. I don't know where I put it. I don't know if it was cleveland.com or something, but I put what I just said in a sports post. Like, I'm not sure if they're gonna sign Nick. And I listed a few things that I wanted to list. And Stover goes, my friend that's a Steeler fan, for those of you guys who might not know. He comments on it. He goes, yeah, y'all go ahead. Don't sign him. You know, because listen, nobody in the AFC North would be upset if he wasn't here. They don't have to face him twice a year. I'll tell you that.
Exactly.
But it'll be interesting going into the offseason. You know, I heard some other things, people talking about trading for J.J. Watt. No. Man,
people get caught up in names, just like people get caught up with
so many names. You know, who else did I hear? Richard Sherman. What? No.
Yeah, broke down Richard. People wanted Clowney last year. I ain't want Clowney. Clowney's been a bust.
I wanted Clowney, but I didn't want him at no ridiculous number. Like, I would have taken him for a year at a decent, $3.5, $4 million a year. Yeah, bring him in. Let's kick the tires on him, see what happens. But it's nothing that we got to keep pursuing this guy. Chasing him down because he.
I was down on Clowney. I was down on Clowney. That dude played opposite of J.J. Watt all them years and was getting like 4 and 5 sacks a season. I'm like, man, that dude ain't no good.
He only had 2 really good seasons, and listen, and he was hurt both of those years. So
I don't think Jadeveon Clowney has had double-digit sacks in his career in the NFL in any season.
I would have to look.
I could be wrong, but I don't think he has.
I think he did have a year where he did have double digits.
And J.J. Watt is at a point in his career where injuries have pretty much decimated his body.
His right arm, or left arm rather, is being held on by that brace. Like,
exactly.
That's it. He has got I don't think he got a ligament in that damn arm.
Exactly. Like, his totals have gone down in the last 2 or 3 years.
Here's the only reason that I would see us getting somebody like him. If we were in a position like Tampa Bay where you have a quarterback and you're just trying to put pieces together because it's Super Bowl or bust, that would be the only way that it would make sense, because next year he's in the same position that Nick Chubb is in. So
right,
he ain't gonna want to come here for no 1 year and not get paid. He's gonna want somebody to, bring me in there and then sign me up too. Because trust me, wherever he goes, if he doesn't stay in Houston, that's his last stop. This dude is done after whatever time that he spends wherever he's getting ready to go. And that's not a bad thing. This dude had a great career. He's a Hall of Famer, first ballot, one of the best defenders that you've probably ever seen, especially when he was healthy. He was that good. His brother is just as good. Last I heard, they talking about they might want to play together. Let me tell you something. If I see 2 Watt brothers coming after me, I'm shooting somebody.
Right.
That's all I got to say.
Right.
Shooting. I'm shooting somebody.
And let's hope that Deshaun Watson does not end up in our division, because I heard some rumbling.
Or
no,
Pittsburgh.
like Pittsburgh or something like that.
Man, listen to me. Let me tell you something right now. if Deshaun Watson ends up in, I'm not even talking that shit up. Look, you are, I don't even want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about it. Nope. I will, listen, that's somebody else going to get shot.
Yeah, look, Deshaun, go to Miami. It's nice and warm
man,
sunny
listen, ain't no hills.
and beautiful women. Yeah, go down there. Don't go to Pennsylvania.
Go to Miami, man. Chill out, bro. It's nightlife. It's stuff to do. You can kick it hard in Miami, man. You were still a young guy with a lot of dough. I don't know what his family life was like. So if he got a wife, I apologize or whatever. But, for right now, when I'm thinking you single, shoot, man, go on, kick it, bro.
Right, exactly. Just stay away from Western Pennsylvania. We don't need you there.
Please and thank you. You can go to Eastern Pennsylvania if you want.
Yeah,
you can
go to Philly.
Go to Philly if you like. I don't care. Don't bring your ass to Pittsburgh, man. Don't bring your ass to Pittsburgh. Don't do it.
Yeah, but I definitely think his time is done. That relationship is so sour now, man. I think it's only a matter of time before
they're going
gets up out
to have to move him, or they're going to end up having him just sitting out for the year. That's what's going to happen, and that's going to be an ugly situation for them. All right.
Yeah.
So let's move on a little bit from the Browns. We with the Browns games and with some of the other events that were happening within these last few weeks, we kind of skipped over a few things or didn't get a chance to talk about certain current events that have happened here in Cleveland. So why don't we start with the Indians and the trade of my guy Frankie Lindor and my guy Cookie Carrasco.
Yeah.
Listen, we just got finished talking about it's a business at the end of the day. The Indians have been in the business of bringing up their farm guys, getting them, a little bit past arbitration and paying them a little bit. And in some cases, even paying them more than a little bit, paying them kind of well, but never giving them what some of these guys might actually or eventually end up getting, or maybe even eventually be worth. And then when they come to them in those situations where they're worth way more, and the Indians know that they're worth way more, we trade them or we let them go. It's been happening since the 90s. I'll never forget this. I'll never forget it. Albert Bell, when he left and went to the White Sox, he said, "Oh, the Indians ain't never going to pay nobody." He said, "Watch, they weren't going to pay me, and I know that they weren't going to pay me." He said it. He said, "They're not going to pay, and watch." And I was like, man, whatever, dog. You just wanted to leave for the money. You was getting paid more in Chicago. You ain't want to stay in Cleveland. Blah, blah, blah. He was spot on.
Right.
What's my man name? What? I hate that I can see faces and can't remember the goddamn names. Our general manager back in the 90s,
John Hart.
Hart. He said John Hart ain't paying nobody. He said John Hart is not paying nobody. Neither are the Jacobs. They're not paying nobody. That's why I left. I should be getting paid more. Now, let's skip into, first of all, let's get around our emotions over some of that kind of stuff and skip into like the 2000s where you got guys like LeBron and you have guys like, Kyrie that are saying and taking control of their careers. You know what I mean? Like, they're like, nah, I'm not doing that. I'm not going there. I'm going to go where I want. And that's what you see happening now. Albert Bell was kind of ahead of his time. He left because he knew he said they are not going to pay none of these young guys. They got a system, and that's what they're going to do. And when it was time for Kenny Lofton to get paid, they traded him for Marquise Grissom. Are you freaking kidding me? Marquise Grissom?
Yeah.
And now we did get Dave Justice out the deal, which I hated Dave Justice at the time, but Dave ended up being one of the best postseason guys you ever wanted to be around.
Right. The Indians back then had a way of losing guys and figuring out a way to reload. Like they would bring in what was that third baseman we got from the Giants? Matt.
You talk about what's my guy's name? Matt. He used to always
Matt Williams.
Matt Williams. Yep. Matty
Yeah,
Williams.
Matt Williams. Then they went and got Travis Fryman.
Listen, Travis was the best third baseman that might have ever played baseball.
Right.
Travis
they got Kevin Sicer to fill in one year.
Kevin Sicer.
The Indians back then, they were great at, we ain't about to pay y'all. When we lose one guy, we'll go get a free agent, give him XYZ for a year or two. We got Robbie Alomar, remember? We went and got Robbie Alomar for some years.
Yep, we had Robbie for about 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, 4 or 5 years. So, and didn't skip a beat. We didn't go to the World Series every year, but they were winning the division every year, and we were contending every year. So with the Lindor trade, we pretty much got 2 guys that have major league experience and 2 very high prospects, and Josh Wolf and Isaiah Green. Now, I guess the guy that they're really counting on is going to be this Ahmed Rosario guy, because he got caught up in 2017. So he actually has significant experience. So what I did today, I wasn't familiar with him. I went and looked at this. He has a little highlight reel on YouTube, like almost every player does now. And I see what they're trying to do. He's a big guy. He's a shortstop, but he's a big shortstop, tall guy. Has great speed, and more so of a contact hitter. I think in 2019, he had like 15 home runs, 72 RBIs. So it's a great, decent.
It sounds like Omar numbers.
Yeah, he batted like 289.
Yeah, those are Omar numbers. Omar was
he's young. He's something like 25 or something like that. So what they're banking on is him blossoming into, a much better player than he is right now.
They banking on the same play.
Yeah, my problem with the trade was I didn't have a problem trading Lindor. Everybody was like, "Oh my God!" I was like, "One thing, we ain't win when he was here," and
don't disagree with that.
And he had his moments in the playoffs, but he was very inconsistent. But all the Indians were inconsistent in the playoffs, hitting wise. So I don't want to lay all that on his feet. So my thing was, if you're going to trade him, I need to get back a player that we can plug in immediately that's going to produce. That's all I was asking for. And we didn't do that. So I don't know what this Rosario kid may end up being a great player. One of these prospects may end up. But I was like, man, for right now, when you still have a core, you still have a great pitching staff, you have a core here, we can still make a championship run. But I know what the Indians are going to do. They're going to use that money they saved with Frankie and go sign guys like the Casey Blake types of the world, those type dudes that are just good enough. You know what I'm saying? Because we know Frank Cohen is a great manager. Somehow he works some type of wizardry to keep us in contention.
Yep, we'll win about 70, between 75 and 85 games just to keep us right there.
Right. They'll re-sign, what's the guy, Hernandez, or Cesar Hernandez that played pretty well last year at second base. You got J. Ram that can play any position on the infield, and they're banking on the guys we picked up from San Diego in that trade. So they're banking on Josh Naylor. Maybe what's the guy that can't stay healthy?
Shoot, that's a bunch of them.
No, the tall center fielder.
Oh, Naquin.
Not him, the other one. The other one's always running into the walls in the outfield and getting hurt.
Oh, what is that kid's name? He had a good little run until he ran into the damn wall. What is that kid?
Right.
I actually like him in the field better. I don't know about what
Naquin sucks. Naquin is what he is. Naquin starts off hot and then he just falls apart at the end of the season, middle of the end of the season.
Yeah, I'm not a big, but he was a high prospect too, Tyler Naquin. That's why they kept.
Yeah, he's number one. He was a number one pick, number one overall pick. At that, So they're counting on Framil Reyes in the middle of that lineup to finally pick up some slack and start doing what he's supposed to do. You know, J Ram is J Ram, but you got to replace Carlos Santana now. Now you got to replace Lindor. Why we resign like those catchers for all that money? I don't understand. It's like you're gonna pay.
What the hell was that about, bro?
Yeah, you're gonna sign like, and I like Roberto.
I do.
But you're gonna sign them to like $8-9 million a year.
But this is what I'm see. I
don't get that.
This is what my issue was with this trade. So you gave this dude that kind of money. First of all, that dude ain't worth half the money you just gave him.
No.
Second of all, you're not gonna pay the homie. Like, I know he was gonna get more money than that. Of course, I understand that. But you could have saved some money by not returning that guy. Because, and again, I thoroughly agree with you on the strength of, and some of this is us being around each other for so long. Because again, as a fan, you get stuck in this emotional part of the sport. You get stuck in the emotional part. I love Frankie. Frankie is the second coming of Omar. Not because of how they play, his exuberance. He's always smiling, his love for the game. He's a good-looking kid. Like, he's the face of the franchise. There was a lot of times where Omar was the face of the franchise, even though he wasn't the face of the franchise.
Right.
But when you went to the stadium, when you went down to the Jake and wanted to watch some baseball, you really went down there to watch Omar. He was there to entertain you. He was there to put on a show. And that's how I felt about Frankie, especially early on. I don't know about the last couple years. And I think at certain points in the last, say, year and a half or so, I think Frankie was holding back in certain cases. Like, I don't think he was going full blast like I remember him going at points in time.
Yeah, I agree.
Either
that or he was distracted by the contract stuff.
He was kind of distracted.
So something wasn't right.
I just don't. I don't understand. After this, with not paying him and bringing in the young guys, the only reason that I get stuck back in the 90s, Luplow, that's his name, Jordan Luplow. That's who you're thinking about.
No. I got Bradley Zimmer. That's who it is.
Zimmer. Oh yeah. Well, hell, he ain't even on the damn depth chart right now.
He isn't.
No. But I like Jordan Luplow.
Yeah, Luplow actually, they just was inconsistent, but he did all right.
But the reason that I go back to the 90s and bring up, a guy like Albert Bell or what Albert Bell said about the team is that it looks the same. Here we are almost 30 years later, and it's still the same play. This is a team. Now, Kansas City, Milwaukee have all made it to the World Series. So have we. So has Chicago. Chicago's a bigger market than us. But these Midwestern teams, St. Louis, they middle market teams. Detroit, we've all made it to the championship. But those guys pay their guys. I don't know where the hell Kansas City getting their money from, but they paying the hell out of some of those guys down there. Now that doesn't.
Now KC did dismantle. Now KC did dismantle the squad after the World Series.
They had to because they paid a lot of them.
Yeah,
and then they're still a middle market team. So it still is what it is. Like, you're a middle market team, you're going to have to pay for that at some point. Same thing in Milwaukee. You remember those years in Milwaukee where they had Ryan? What's that kid's name?
Braun.
The one who was on steroids.
Ryan Braun.
And they paid him a lot of money, and then they made the World Series or made their run. Remember when CC was up there? They made that. They were in the World Series or went deep in the playoffs, like 3 years
playoffs. Right.
And then that was it. they're putting too much pressure on Terry. Is kind of where I'm going with this. You're asking this guy to first of all, not just putting a lot of pressure on Terry, you're putting a lot of pressure on this damn pitching rotation too.
Yeah,
because
they got to be A1 every night. They got to come out there and only give up 2 runs so they know they ain't gonna get no support.
There you go.
Every night.
There you go. There you go. And they're just trying to save dough. The Dolans are. They're just trying to make a profit. This was a tough year for baseball. I agree, especially for the teams that didn't make it deep into the playoffs. And even if you did, you didn't have anybody in your building. Nobody was buying hot dogs. Nobody was buying beer.
Right.
You know, there was no tickets were being bought. So it's a tough financial year, and I understand that. Again, I'm thinking business-wise, not from the emotional side as a fan.
Right.
But you're talking about a team that don't sell out any damn way.
No, but here's the thing, though. And here's one of the biggest misnomers about the whole big market, small market thing in baseball, and where owners of small market teams pull the wool over the eyes of their fan base, right?
I agree. Go ahead.
The way sports is set up, right now, not like back in the day. Now teams don't lose money anymore. They may not make as much money as they want to, probably. And let's take COVID out of the picture. Let's take COVID out of because this was an anomaly year. So yeah, teams may have lost money this year just because they didn't have the same revenue coming in. But all things being equal, teams don't lose money anymore because they have TV contracts. And in baseball, not only do you have the overall national TV contracts with the ESPNs and stuff like that, unlike any other sport, you're allowed to sign your own individual cable contract for your local team. So every local team now has a national TV contract, and they get their own individual TV contract, cable network contract. Now the Indians don't sell out. Attendance is kind of probably on the lower third in the league, but the Indians have one of the highest TV rating audiences in Major League Baseball.
Oh, for sure.
I think the Indians are like in the top 5.
For sure.
So it's not so what the Dolans are doing, they're strictly just trying to maximize their profit. It's not that they can't pay Frankie.
No, it's
just if they pay him, it's going to cut into the bottom line. And so, what they'll tell you is, now here's where the middle market teams pull the wool over the eyes of their fan base, because Pittsburgh did this too to their fans. They'll tell them, look, if you come to the games and you do XYZ, we'll put money back into the team. So why does it have to be contingent on us coming to the games? Like if you put a product out there, eventually they'll go. It's just right now, and then with the economy the way it is, especially in Cleveland, it's going to be hard for them to sell out 81 games. That's a lot of games to go to. But when you get to the games that matter, even go down the stretch, the end of the season, yeah, the fans will show up. But even if you get they even cut the capacity of the stadium down. So it was 35,000, something like that. So even if you get 17, 18,000 a night, that's still decent revenue. That's all profit. I mean, you getting from the ticket sales to the beer sales or whatnot. So I hate when they throw that in your face and saying, well, we don't have the money to do X, Y, Z. And I understand that. And I'm not telling them to spend $400 million on a player. But right now, the Indians payroll without Frankie Lindor is something like $30 million right now.
Yeah. Listen, I don't think any of us, or at least not you and I, we're definitely not saying, hey man, get that dude $300 million. We're not saying that. But let's be fair. And as an owner or as a front office or whatever you want to allow to represent the situation, do you guys want to win or try to compete for the division? Do you guys want to go to the playoffs? Do you guys want to, possibly go to the World Series? Because as fans, and again, I'll speak as a fan in this particular light. As a fan, I want to go to the Super Bowl, to the NBA Finals, and to the World Series. That's me as a fan.
And if you look at a city like St. Louis, like you were saying earlier, they're no bigger market than we are.
Nope.
And they contend every year, but they're not going overboard with their payroll, but they do enough to keep
they do
a competitive team out there.
They do enough to stay competitive. They also do enough to keep the guys that they need to keep too. The Indians get to a certain point. Like, let's be honest, how long do you think Shane Bieber gonna be here?
Exactly.
It's only a matter of time. I say another year or two, and then he'll be gone. Because they're not
still young. He probably be here a little longer than that because he's still, you know how it is with your years of service. It's like his third year.
Well,
it's up in his fourth year. Yeah.
They'll take care of that arbitration shit. Get him into another 3-year contract or something, or 2-year contract, worth some money. Like he'll make some money. It won't be that first-year contract bull. And then once they get past the arbitration, that's where the problem always is. Kenny Lofton said the same thing too. Like that's where, like in your mind, when you go to arbitration because you're like, yo, these dudes ain't trying to pay me. I want to, I've been in the league for, a year or two. I've done this. I want a regular contract. They still got me on a minor league contract, right? So they just avoid that by saying, okay, well, what you making in the month? Oh, you making $200,000 maybe? Okay, bet. We'll sign you to a 3-year contract and we'll pay you $3 million. You're like, oh yeah, $1 million a year. You get halfway into that shit. You like,
right.
What the hell? What the hell?
Yeah, exactly.
But that's.
And the Indians players always go to arbitration.
Yeah.
All of them. It never fails. I'm surprised Jose Ramirez is still here.
Well, I am too, to be completely honest with you. But again, how long do you think that's gonna be?
Like, to me, he's the heart and soul of the team more so than Jordan was.
But I think that they worked well together. I think they're how they played, not necessarily how they played together, but the both of them being in the same locker room, the both of them being on the field at the same time. It was like watching Sandy and Omar when they're on the field at the same time. To us, the fan, again, I'm speaking as a fan at this point, you feel like, man, ain't no way we losing this game. Sandy playing, Omar playing, they go Jim Thome. Oh man, we in there. We don't know how Jim Thome feel today. Jim Thome could have had a damn migraine and don't want to play. But in our mind, just because Jim Thome showed up, we feel like we're gonna win. That's how you feel when I go to the stadium to see the Indians. You know who I want to see? I want to see J-Ram and I want to see Frankie. I do. That's for real. That's who I go to see. When I went to Yankee Stadium a couple years ago, I went to see Derek Jeter. Yeah, I like some of those other
always
guys.
got to sneak Jeter in the conversation. When we talk baseball, always somehow Jeter's name always come up. I don't know how you manage a way to work it in, but you do. But we're not going there.
The truth is, but that's the truth. You go to see. You do go to see those guys. Like I, in my mind, man, not that I hadn't seen Derek Jeter play, because I had. I've seen him play 1 million times here in Cleveland. But to see him at home and what ended up being his last season or a year before his last season was awesome to me. And you always want to go see the draw. When I was a Cavs season ticket holder, there was some games that, oh no, I ain't giving you my Laker game. I got to see
Right.
Kobe. You know what I mean? You want to see those, the people that draw you there. You want to see the people that make you want to watch football, basketball, or baseball. When you don't have that, to your point of what the mid-market teams attempt to do to the fans, when you don't have that, you can't ask me to keep coming down here paying $8 for a damn hot dog when I ain't watching the people that I want to see.
Right. And
You know what I
what's
mean?
crazy is like, so probably where the Indians will get away with it this year, because probably at least for the first quarter of the season, they probably won't have any fans again. Now, DeWine has been letting the Cavs have fans, so maybe he'll let the Indians maybe have
Well,
a few.
the plus
So
side for the Indians is that it's outdoors.
it's outdoors, right?
That's the plus side. So I figure if they allow the Browns to have 60,000 fans, because listen, it was way more than 12,000 people in that game.
It's supposed to be 10% of capacity is what
Listen,
we're trying to do.
Hey man, I'm telling you, I'm sitting in
I
that
know.
building, I'm looking around like, come on, man. It's way more than some damn 12,000 people in here. But that being said, they probably will allow somewhere close to about what, 3,500 people in the building?
Something like that, probably. Yeah.
Which could be good. But let's be frank, bro. Outside of opening day, you probably was only going to get about 7,000 more people in the building for a regular year at those points anyway, right? About 10 to 12,000 people. And like you said, or going more towards your point, about half full. So about 17 to 20,000.
So all things being equal, if this was a regular season where you could have, fans at the stadium without Lindor being down there, you really wasn't gonna have nobody coming down.
Bro,
Everybody.
This is what I'm saying. This is where I was going with my whole argument. I'm upset because these cheap sons of bitches keep trying to act like they're broke or losing money. They're not. I know that they're not. Yet they want me to spend $40. Well, God forbid if I want to sit in the club seats, because the goddamn club seats are still $100, $120.
Yeah.
For
now Indians defense, they still got reasonable tickets to go to the Indians game.
No, the regular tickets are reasonable. But if you want to go have a great time and not have to pay $10 a damn beer every single time, you probably want to go and get into the club seats. We'll have to go. If they open up the stadium and stuff like that to fans, we'll have to go. We'll have to go to a couple games.
Okay.
And just go hang out. We have not. Can you imagine this? Sean and I have been friends almost 4 years. We've never been to an Indians game together.
No, we haven't. I never even thought about that. And you know what? I don't go to Indians games that much. I haven't been to an Indians game. I did go last year. I went to 2 last year. But before that, I probably hadn't been in a couple of years. And I should go because it's a cheap, especially back when they had like the $10 bleacher seats. It's not, as far as of all the 3 teams that we have here, the Indians do give you the best value probably overall. And they got probably the best food out of all 3 of them. They
probably have the best stadium, and they probably have the best food. I love going to this. I just love being there. I do really like day games. I enjoy going to like 12 noon games or 1 o'clock games and just being at the stadium or being downtown like at 11 o'clock, almost like you tailgating. You're just in the bar drinking, and then you walk over to the stadium and get inside. But baseball is a social event. It's not really like basketball. Sean and I have been to a number of basketball games together, and we've been to a number of football games together. It's not quite the same. because the pace
Right.
is fast.
It's slow. Yeah. For those who have never been to a baseball game, they can start the game back up between innings, and you won't even know that you will miss like 5 pitches because you ain't know they started the damn game back up. That's
You have no idea, and all of a sudden you'll just hear like a, and you'll look up and you'll see the ball flying. And you're like,
right.
Time or something. I
Right.
know one time I was sitting behind home plate. I was probably about 10 rows off of home plate. So they got the net up and everything at that point, literally right behind home. And I was talking to my wife. So I'm talking to her, and I heard the crack. And when I looked up, the ball had already hit the net, like the net was already pulled back from it hitting the net.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to tell you, that ball was coming straight for my doggone head. Like it was literally like right there in the net. And like the trajectory of it, I was like, man, I would have got killed.
Man, I sat like on the first baseline once. I said, I'll never do that again.
No,
Because you gotta pay attention the whole game.
Lines, bro.
Yeah.
You gotta pay. I've sat down the first baseline and the third baseline. Those are some of my better seats. Are sitting down the baselines. The problem is you have to be paying attention. Like you can't get into this involved conversation or trying to catch the beer guy because you'll wind up with a damn dead or in a coma because
right. But I think
just slice down the line.
Right, but I think now they have the mandatory netting and stuff now.
I think they do this year. I think that.
Yeah, I think they got the mandatory netting.
I think it started last year, but
and that was way past due. And people that sit there and say that it obstructs your view, it doesn't. Because when you sit behind home plate, you don't even know the net is even there.
Bro, did you hear what I just said?
Yeah.
A, I can see the entire game. Let's start there. There was nothing I couldn't see sitting behind that net. B, thank God for that net because I might not be here right now. I might be, or if I'm here, I might be a totally different person because I would have had to get a damn lobotomy to get that ball out my head.
Right.
I swear to you, I thought that thing, the way it looked, where it hit and how that net was pushed back, I said, yo, that thing was coming right for my head.
And back in the day, it wasn't that big of a deal because the way the stadiums were set up, the seats were way off of the line. Yep. But now, these new stadiums they built, they want everybody to be up on the action. They built all these seats like right, smack dab like on the field.
Behind home plate, if you would have hit a ball behind home plate at the old Brown Stadium, dog, that would have been like a pop fly.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, as soon as it come off you, by the time it get to you, you're like, oh, here it go. Because you're so far behind home plate.
And plus, stadiums had a ton of foul territory now. Now it's no foul territory. The only stadium left that has foul territory is Oakland.
Yeah. You're running into Tart now. You're running into the ball boys or the ball girls that sit down the lines. You running into
it's like now as soon as you cross the first baseline, you right in the dugout.
Yeah, and then some of them stadiums have like the warm-up mounds on right there on the side, like
on the field. Right.
So that's like, you know what I mean? Like, damn, dog, I might get hit by this dude warming up too. Trying to chase down a damn pop fly. But I'm not 1,000% happy with this trade. I think because we have the type of team that we have, you just get used to seeing certain faces. You get used to seeing certain.
And we already had enough issues offensively,
and we
as it is, and that just opens up a huge void.
What
that line?
And I thoroughly agree with you, bro. Where's the guy that we know for sure can come in and not necessarily be what Frankie could be per se, but a guy that you trust
to give you some type of production? I don't trust any of those guys now. And plus, the way that Francona runs the team, which one thing I disagree with, he loves doing a platoon system. Now, I don't know if he's doing that out of necessity because of what he has to work with, or because that's what he wants to do, interchanging these guys every two
Yeah, I
or
don't.
three. Yeah, I don't think guys get into a rhythm doing that. But that's neither here nor there. We'll probably revisit the Indians because they should start making like the hot stove league season now, but nobody's really making any moves. But we should start to see some free agent signings soon because hell, spring training starts next month.
Yeah, it's almost February, so we're getting
Yeah.
into that window where some action about to start happening.
Yeah. So as the Indians makes any type of moves, we'll go ahead and revisit them. At that point in time. So, well, good luck to Frankie out there in New York. They fired their GM too, which was strange. They just fired their GM the other day. I don't know what that was
I
about.
think he was on the hot seat anyway. Apparently he was, but
Yeah.
he probably thought maybe making that move might change some stuff. But I mean, you never know. They might have prematurely fired him. Maybe this was the move that could have changed some things for him, but maybe not. I mean, New York is a tough place to play. The Mets, I don't care what nobody says. It's tough to play in for the Mets. Nobody
It
goes there
is.
and just like that, like breaks out and becomes this big booming. A lot of people go there to get paid. Now, a lot of people go there and end up, carrying the team and doing those types of things. So, again, a hell of a lot of luck. I heard that he was very emotional, very upset because he wanted to actually be here in Cleveland, and he wasn't happy about having to move. They said the same thing about Carrasco, that neither one of those guys were happy about leaving. So shout out to those guys. Good luck. I'm glad y'all went together instead of solo. So hopefully
Right.
hang out together and encourage each other. But we'll see y'all again. Hell, you never know. You might be back at some point in time once you get your money right. Because somebody gonna pay Frankie. I guarantee you that. And it might be that team in the Bronx.
Yeah, I hope not, but yeah, I can definitely see that. So, we got anything else on the docket for this evening?
Yeah, real quick. Let's get into some Cavs stuff. So first of all, the Cavs had a really good game today. They played the Brooklyn Nets down at the Gun, and they went into double overtime and actually won with the big three being on the court. Kyrie and KD, those guys. Listen, they played great games. I don't know if anybody else on the team did any goddamn thing, but Kyrie had 37, KD had 38, Harden had 26, I think.
Harden had a triple double. He had 20. He had
I was going to say,
21,
I think
10,
he
and
ended up
12.
having a triple double or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, 21, 10, and 12. I forgot the game was on. I didn't realize the game was on until about 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter. That's when I turned to it.
I remembered that it was on, but I had other stuff that I was trying to do. Again, with the kids being in school and stuff like that, I'm always trying to, make sure that they're in the bed or got their showers or, did their homework or whatever. So I'm always trying to like wrap that kind of stuff up right before I get down here, because I always feel like if I escape into the basement, I leave a lot of potential of stuff not getting done. So I kind of missed. I didn't see it until going into the second overtime. But I thought it was a pretty solid game. Now listen, the Cavs are very interesting to me because we said earlier this year when we were doing our season assessment for the Cavs, like towards Christmas time, we thought that the Cavs would do better than what most folks thought that they would do. So I think the Cavs are living up to what our expectations are. We all thought, or excuse me, Sean and I thought that, the Cavs would be a little bit better. Tonight was like the debut of the big three. So to be honest with you, I wasn't 100% sure what we were going to get from the Cavs. But let me tell you something, man. BJ Bickerstaff has these guys playing ball. He has these guys playing hard. I don't, every game I've seen, in my own mind, I'm thinking to myself, these guys aren't going to be able to win this game, or they're not going to be able to compete. And they just keep competing, and they just keep playing hard, and they just keep showing up. They keep making baskets like that. You know what I mean? Like every time I think to
they're
myself,
just a scrappy team, and I hate another cliche, but that's what they are. They're, JB Bickerstaff is showing that he can coach. He got this team believing in him and his system, playing much better defense than they have the past couple of years. Because I think last year we were the worst defensive team in the league, or at least one of the worst defensive teams in the league. And they've definitely improved there. When I turned to the game, I think we were up by 9. And I said, there's no way the Cavs are going to win this game, because probably the Nets were sleepwalking most of the game, didn't take us seriously. And once KD and Kyrie and James get started, man, we ain't going to be able to stop them. And it looked that way for a while, man, because they shaved that 9-point lead down in a matter of about a minute and a half.
Yeah.
And now we got a ball game. But Colin Sexton, man, and shout out to Colin, man, because once again, people in Cleveland hated Colin Sexton simply because when LeBron was here and we had that number 1 pick dangling, everybody was like, well, trade that number 1 pick to bring in some other talent to keep LeBron here. And Dan Gilbert was like, I'm not giving up that pick. Just in case he leaves, we need some security. So once LeBron leaves, Colin comes. Not only does he come, he takes Kyrie's number 2. So people held that against him. It's like, well, he's the guy that cost us LeBron, and he's not that good. And all he did was come in and play hard every game. Average, I think in rookie year, he averaged, 15?
Yeah, something like that.
Last year went up to 20-something. This year, he's averaging damn near 27 points. Is he your prototypical point guard? No, but the kid plays hard, and he has heart, and he showed out today. Probably had his best game of his career. Went head up with Kevin Durant, Harden, and Kyrie by himself. From hit a shot in overtime with 1 point something seconds to tie the game, and it's a double OT.
Yep.
So he had 42 points. At one point, he had scored 17 straight points for the Cavs. So
look, don't tell nobody that.
That kid took on, because nobody else wanted to shoot at the end of that game.
He don't have no fear. I'll tell you that. Texas don't have no fear, dog.
None. No fear.
He'll just shoot. I mean, and listen, and I'll be a little more specific. He can score. And I don't think that I knew that he could score as well as he scores. But he's got that no fear, like world be free, no fear. Like, yeah, I know I just missed the last 10 shots I took. And those are probably the worst 10 shots you ever seen in your life. But I'm hitting this next one. Like, that's how Colin Sexton plays. Like, not that he misses that much. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is he just has this confidence, like, yo, I'm hitting the next one.
Yeah.
Whether he make it or miss it, I'm hitting the next one.
Like when you're saying the Cavs were interesting, because when you look at their roster, the roster on paper makes absolutely no sense
at all whatsoever. I can't even understand it.
It's bad. It's a bad, flawed roster. We got a bunch of short guards.
Yep.
Really no wings. The wings we do have are hurt.
Well, now we did make the trade for Torian Prince.
Right. So he's played well today. He made his Cavaliers debut. I think he had 15. Jared Allen played well. So it's an interesting mix. I really still don't have any expectations for the Cavaliers.
Oh, heck no.
It's early in the season. Teams aren't really playing that hard. I think as you move on, especially get past the All-Star break, when teams give them more of their 100% effort, I don't think the Cavs will be winning games like this one against teams like that.
No, not as the season gets. Because let's be honest, Brooklyn still has to figure out what they're doing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like they haven't played a lot of basketball together.
Well, this was the first game we had all three of them
This is the
together on the
first game
floor.
all three of them played. And let's be more frank. They don't have a lot of defense. They don't play defense. Even when they had Jared Allen, who's a shot blocker and a rebounder, they still did not play great defense.
Right.
I think their thought process, they've gone back to the old Phoenix days. They've gone back to the old New York Knicks and Houston Rocket days with Mike D'Antoni being on the bench, where they just feel like, hey, we'll just outscore them. You know what I mean? There's no defense on this squad. However, if I tell you what, if you betting and you tell me I got Kyrie, I got KD, I got James Harden, and all three of them almost got 30 points, you know what I'm gonna think? They probably gonna win.
Right.
8 times out of 10.
Exactly.
8 times out of 10. If they're gonna score almost 90 points, almost 100 points, really, because KD and Kyrie almost have 40 apiece, and then Harden had 26 or whatever. So, you know what I mean? When you look at those numbers in the reality that is a late season game, like you just said, this team probably ain't gonna win that game. The Cavs being that team, the Cavs probably ain't gonna win that game. But they did a quality job this evening. That was a good thing. And I just wanted to kind of touch on this situation before we get the heck off here with Kevin Porter Jr. I'm not 100% sure what the hell is going on with this dude. I'm not 100% sure why this guy was so upset that they moved his locker, why he was throwing food. I've eaten food at the Q, at the gun arena before. Let me tell you something. Food they give the players in the VIPs is good, son. Why would you be throwing that food? I don't understand this. This is some quality stuff. These guys labor over these meals to make sure you guys eat and your families eat. This food is awesome, man.
Yeah, I just hope the kid can get whatever help that he needs, whatever he's going through. That's first and foremost, because I don't want to see anything bad happen to him.
This is what I'm asking. Like, what is? First of all, I don't understand what role you have to be that pissed off. You ain't played. You kind of got yourself in some shit, and work your team with your pay and figure out what you got going on.
Yeah, which means there's something else, deeper going on. Wow.
See, that's the first thing that I got to figure out what the hell's popping. Number two, is there more popping? What else is going on behind those scenes that needs to be discussed? Because this situation happened, and the team didn't say, yeah, we had an incident. Yeah, they was like, hey, man, you go. That's it. The Cavs ain't that kind of a team.
Right.
That's not who the Cavs are.
So I mean, he's probably been doing stuff all along, and they probably tried to stick it out, and that was just the final straw. That wasn't his first incident by far.
I don't think so.
Yeah. So and the thing that messes it up, because we've both been saying that as far as the Cavs' growth and development, he was the key because he was the most dynamic out of all the young guys that we had. You plug him the way that they're playing now, you plug him back into that mix. Okay, now it's a different ball game. Without it, because the Cavs can't keep going with Darius Garland and Colin Sexton in that backcourt. Now today they put Okoro back there, but I think Okoro's natural position is going to be small forward. Because he's not a two guard. That's really not his game. So for right now, because you don't have that many scoring options on that team, you have to keep running Sexton and Garland out there whenever Garland comes back healthy, and they're just too small. Ask Lillard and CJ McCollum how that works out for them. As great as those two are, they'll never win an NBA championship or sniff it with that back. Because when you get into the playoffs, man, you playing teams with bigger guards, bigger wings. And if you look, it's just you asking too much. So, you know, I hope the kid gets whatever, because it seems like he's going to probably need, huh?
Figures it out. I hope.
Yeah. I wish he would have been here, because I really like his game a lot. But once again, for whatever reason, Cleveland, when we have like these reclamation projects, they never work out here. And sometimes they don't work out elsewhere either, but they never work out here.
I actually was thinking to myself, I said, this dude is like Josh, man. Like, he's just, speaking of Josh Gordon, I mean, I just felt like, and not like he's doing anything on the substance abuse side. I mean, it just seems like, because I agree with what you're saying, this ain't his first incident. The Cavs are not, now if this were the Browns or the Indians, I might see this. Where a guy just went berserk and they were just like, yo, man, we're not doing this, because Tito ain't that kind of a manager. He ain't putting up with that crap. He might put up, look, you see where, I mean, my man wasn't even, I don't think he was doing that much. What's my dude name? Who we got from the Dodgers?
You're talking about Puig.
Puig. He wasn't even doing that much. He just, you know, was kind of not listening to Tito, and that was enough. They're like, yeah, we ain't bringing that dude back. He done. Tito ain't putting up with it. And if Tito saying, I don't want that guy, guess what? You're not coming back. Period.
Yeah.
At this point.
Not only that, Puig hasn't come back into the league at all since then.
At all, bro. And that's crazy. Like, teams don't want to put up with whatever it is that he's doing. And that, again, is another one of those that, you know, it's a little bit more to who we like.
Right.
And the Browns are in that same spot. Like, you know, they're not going to allow a player to just ruin what they have right now. I can't see it. I can't see them just putting up with it. You know, like bringing in AB or somebody like that to disrupt what's going on. Which is why I don't think that OBJ is a problem. Because if he was, at least from the locker room standpoint, I don't think he's a problem. He may be a problem because they don't know how to use him, or him and Baker don't have a connection. That might be a problem. But OBJ himself and how he handles himself and what he does in the facility and in the building, it's not a problem at all. It's not a problem at all. We make it a problem because we want it to be a problem here from some of the football fans that we have. They love to act like he's a cancer. I'm like, where now? But for this kid to be where he is, I agree with what Sean is saying. This ain't the first instance. This isn't the first. And he's got some stuff that's carried over from college, too, that we all know about. He was in some trouble in college. So, like you say, a reclamation project, when you don't have the guys that can, you know, fully put that together, no, you can't rehab a house if you don't know how to rehab a house.
Exactly.
And, you know, I think that might be the situation. But 1,000% agree. I hope this kid gets his ducks in a row, his life in order. I hope it doesn't turn out to be something that has him out of the league and not capable of getting paid. Because this kid has some talent. I would like to see the talent on the field. On the court. But for right now, it ain't happening, man. So, you know, I just wanted to touch on that, see what your opinion was on that before we got the heck out of here. I think that's it, good people. We had a great show. I think it was pretty in-depth. I think we covered a lot of stuff. Unfortunately, Sunday, when we come on, it won't have nothing to do with the Browns.
Nope.
So y'all won't have an opportunity to see me blow my entire lid. Not probably until somewhere in September-ish.
Right. And it's probably good for you guys, because if we were in the AFC Championship game, that would have been the most stressful game of our lives.
Oh my gosh.
If you think that we were emotional last week, You don't want to see us like, you know what I'm saying? You don't want to see us at the AFC Championship game. So it is what it is. But we'll still have football to talk about. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and make picks real quick. So we got Green Bay and Tampa Bay. And I'm going to go Green Bay.
The Battle of the Bays.
And then the Bills and KC. There's no way in the world that Patrick Mahomes will still be in a concussion protocol come kickoff on Sunday evening. No way. So I'm going KC. Just because Buffalo is so one-dimensional on offense, KC will be able to figure that out. So basically, I'm predicting a KC Green Bay Super Bowl, which should be, if that comes to fruition, really either way. Like if Tampa goes to the Super Bowl and plays KC, that'd be a good ass game. So when I'm looking at Green Bay and KC in the ball, what about you?
That's pretty much what I got. I think that we're watching like the two best quarterbacks in football, and maybe two of the best that's ever done it, with TB12 and Aaron Rodgers. So I'm actually looking forward to that game, to watch them kind of duel it out. Aaron Rodgers looks freaking awesome right now.
He does.
He's just like locked in. I don't know if it's just, one of those years, but Aaron Rodgers looks like this a lot. But he tends to only do it like over about 8 games where he looks incredible. Then he'll have that, that weird period.
Right.
Stuff is happening. But this year, I've probably watched about 4 or 5 Green Bay games. This dude has looked incredible in every one of those games. Like, he made the throw. I've been watching him play for forever, but he's made a throw in one of those games, and each one of those games where I go, are you freaking kidding me? Like, how did he get that off, or how did he even see that?
Exactly.
And I see it just continuing. Their defense is actually playing pretty good right now. I think it'll be a shootout, but I'm picking Green Bay, and then in the KC game, I got KC. They're at home. It's KC. I watched them dudes for 2.5 hours the other day, and while I think they're beatable, I don't think the Bills are going to do it.
Right. The only thing that'll give the Bills a decent shot in this game is that they play physical on defense.
They're going to have to.
They're not scared of them. So they're going to bring blitzes. They're going to press their receivers.
That's what they got to do. They got to press with damn receivers, bump them off them lines.
Right.
Can't just be letting them run free in those little zones and shit.
Right. So, because at first I was thinking, this would be an easy game for KC. But then when I thought about the way that Buffalo plays defense, I was like, it may not be so. I think it might be a tighter game than what I previously, thought about it.
They have good defensive backs in Buffalo. Micah Hyde and
Tre'Davious White.
Tre'Davious. I was about to call him Clowney. I was about to call him
Tre'Davious Clowney. Jordan Poyer's been playing decent. Another former Brown.
And again, Poyer is playing good because they're asking him to do what he actually can instead of what they hope he can.
And he has a good job around. Yeah, that makes a difference.
Yeah. I think the other guys around him allow him to just do what he's actually good at, and it works for that scheme.
They got Josh Norman too. I forgot about that.
And they do have Josh Norman. So they have the guys that could just talent for talent, match up with these guys. But Micah Hyde is a pretty physical DB.
Right. And I want to see how this plays out, man, because Buffalo is just one of those franchises where they'll get to a game like this, be in the game the whole game, and then do something stupid.
Yeah.
At some point in time in the fourth quarter, or have some weird happens. Like,
Yeah,
you want to
they
talk
are.
about a tortured fan base.
They are Cleveland.
Buffalo,
They are Cleveland Browns East, dog.
yeah.
They
They may have, and a matter of fact, they're probably. I know everybody wants to claim to have the worst pain for whatever reason, but Buffalo's probably more tortured than we are.
well, because we lost
to
the
be
AFC
fair.
Championship games. These dudes went to 4 straight Super Bowls.
If the Browns went to 4 straight Super Bowls and lost, I wouldn't be here right now. I wouldn't.
Ah,
I would not. I would not be here.
we almost weren't here, and the Browns went to 3 out of 4 AFC title games, and we almost didn't make it out of our teams.
No, I don't know. I don't know how a fan base survives going to 4 straight Super Bowls. And Luke, man, the
4 straight Super Bowls, bro.
4 straight.
Yikes!
I couldn't do it. So, but anyway, folks, that will wrap up another sterling rendition or edition of two guys.
Who's singing? Who's singing?
Right. You can catch us on all streaming platforms: Spotify, Google Podcasts, Anchor, Apple iTunes at Two Guys and the Mic, YouTube, Two Guys and the Mic 216, Facebook page, Two Guys and the Mic 216. So if you go to our YouTube page, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I said we picked up a whopping 2 more subscribers, from last week. So we're cooking with hot grease over here now.
Yo, man, we crossed the 50 barrier, dog.
Right. It's only a matter of time before we have our own show on ESPN. It's only a matter of time.
It's coming.
So, right.
It's coming.
But anyway,
and y'all could be a part of it. Y'all could be a part of it.
Right. You can ride this wave. So when we hit it big, don't come talking about y'all with us in the mud. No, y'all want with us in the mud. Y'all want to don't
be asking me to like your little IG page once we make it big.
Right.
I ain't liking your page then. You better come get it now, like you said, when we in the mud.
That's a popular saying now. These young rappers got it out the mud or whatever they be talking about.
Yeah, you better come get it while we in the mud, son.
Exactly. Because once we hit it big, we're gonna be too bougie for y'all little people. We ain't got time for y'all.
Way bougie. Right now, we'll do a show at Skeets. Wait till I get famous. Be out in Brecksville.
Oh, before we go, something I meant to tell you. Have you watched the Transformers series on Netflix?
I have not.
Dude, all right, it's a new one. It's two series. Is one, the first installment was Transformers War for Cybertron, and the second one is Earth Rising. And they piggyback. So this is before they got to Earth.
Oh, so
it's on Netflix. Yeah. So it's on Netflix, dude. Go ahead. I know you grew up watching Transformers like I did. And it's classic Transformers. It's not that BS. So they was coming up with this is.
Wait, so it's a cartoon?
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay.
Yeah. Brand new.
Okay.
Same original, voices and stuff like that. And it's
it's
real. Yeah, but it's classic Transformers, and it gives you history on where they came from and why they act the way they act. So you still get the classic Starscream being a punk, and Megatron's face. I love you, Megatron. And in the back, as soon as he turned his back, starts scheming. And of course, when Megatron found out he's screaming, he comes and slap the shit out of Starscream and knock him across. So I know that you would appreciate that, man. So yeah, check that out.
I'm in.
Yeah,
I'm all the way down. I need something else to watch. About 2 weeks ago, I think I finished the Cobra Kai. So I need something else to watch.
I love Cobra Kai. You know what? And that started off as a YouTube series.
Yeah.
And I wasn't about
See?
Right, exactly.
YouTube series. See?
And I was like, and I wasn't about to watch. I was like, I ain't about to watch no Cobra Kai. I heard little rumblings, and then was at the Netflix. And the crazy part about it is it's corny.
It's corny.
It's
But
corny as all get out, but I enjoyed every minute of it.
yeah, it's corny as hell, but it's like, dog, it's the Karate Kid. I was
Right.
what, 11? I think 11 when that show came out. So, bro,
If that all. And
it's
it's hilarious too. It's a good.
because it's so
It's serious
corny.
and lighthearted and corny all at the same time.
So yeah, I love Cobra Kai. I can't wait for season 4. So I need something else to watch. So maybe I'll check in to the Transformers. But
Yep, there's a Voltron series too.
I've been looking for a Voltron too. You know,
It's
not that
weird
car,
though. That
look,
one.
not that Cars shit though. I'm talking about the
No,
line.
it's a new. No, it's Lions, but it's different. So
Right.
it looks like so aesthetically, it's Voltron. It looks like the Voltron that we grew up on. Same characters, but it's a lot of twists in there, man. And it's long too. Well, I won't say it's long. It's just slow. It's a lot of story, a lot of build, because they're giving you history of Voltron too, man. So you got to stick with it. I enjoyed most of it. I won't say I enjoyed all of it because there was a part that was a little bit too, you know what I'm saying? Like I can't. You just watch it. You'll see what I'm saying when you watch it.
Let's check it
Yeah.
out.
So that one actually came out a couple of years ago.
I had to check it out. I'll be
So I
in
think it's like 3 seasons.
I'll be in all the old. I like the old stuff, man. Like to just kind of bring back that nostalgia and
Right.
make me feel. My kids be looking at me like, man, why are you watching that? I don't watch all the Twilight Zone. I'll be watching everything. I went from a guy who
I
never
didn't check out the Twilight Zone because it isn't that like on CBS streaming or something like that.
I watched it on Netflix.
It's on Netflix now.
Yeah, I watched all of them on Netflix.
Are you talking about the new Twilight Zone? What's his name?
Not the new one, the old one.
Oh, you're talking about the old. Okay,
Black and
okay,
white
okay.
ones. Because
Okay.
I tell you what, though, you talking about some good, because you think like I think in a lot of cases, you know, the way your mind works, those old school ones do you right. You'll get locked.
Yeah, they creepy as hell.
And it's a lot of stuff happening in them that are,
Yeah,
especially for that time, so socially. It's
There's a
still
lot
some
of
of the stuff
critical
happening
social
now, but man,
commentary.
it's so socially aware at
Right.
that time. It's crazy, but it's all good, man. We're gonna touch bases, talk about some more of these series. I don't want to drag this show too much longer.
Right,
But
right. That was my fault. I just dragged out an extra 15 minutes talking about the Transformers. Anyway, so you guys have a good night. Have a good rest of your week, and then we'll
have
see
a
you
good
soon.
night, everybody. Love y'all. Peace.
All right.
Love you, bro.